All right, we are all set. I don't know if you can hear me on YouTube. I'm going live. Hello, everyone. I don't know if all the people have been pulled into this session. I'll wait for a minute to check. All right, I think we are seeing people joining in. I hope everybody can see my video. I'm still trying to figure out the handover can be tricky. So I think we have had marathon sessions going on since yesterday night US time. I don't know how many of you are here already and been watching all this time. So hello to everyone who is joining. Thanks for the comments and confirming that you can see my video. And it has been an amazing thing. I've been trying to catch up off and on. Of course, it started overnight in US, so I could not see all the sessions, but I see that it's an amazing conference going on here, and I wanted to be part of it. So this is great, and we would talk to a lot of great apps, a lot of other key people in the EOS ecosystem, and I'm just waiting for people to join in, and maybe we can start very soon. In the meanwhile, let me try out a few things. I would like to thank the sponsors of the event, and I think they have talked about it during the previous sessions. So as you can see, My Wish, which has been very helpful in putting this conference together. And this also helps me test out. So they are the first platform for EOS smart contract creation. And this EOS Summit 2018 is sponsored by them. Now I think I'm going to wait for Crystal. I think that's the first session we have for Sense Chat. And I'm going to look for Crystal. And in the meantime, if you have any other questions, if everybody is able to see how we are, if we are able to see my screen, I hope that we can confirm and we can start the next session 3. All right. I do see Crystal in the room. I just need to see how do I pull in. So bear with me, guys. I'm still setting up and getting started with the hosting. So I hope it is going to take a couple of minutes and we should be all set and start going. All right, so I think we are still waiting for Crystal. So once she's live, we will get going. I think she's registered here, and I will wait. Our session is supposed to start in 4 minutes as per the schedule, so we are ahead of time. And in the meantime, I think, as I said, again, I would like to thank My Wish, which is the sponsor. And we can also talk about what's going on. I think we had some great dApps which have presented in this summit. And beyond this, we have been talking about how EOS is progressing. I think we had some great discussions around how some of the new projects, they are just not just trying to change and think in the crypto world. They are also trying to change the real world use cases, and that's what is exciting. So again, I think we will keep going with the similar kind of discussions today. And let me quickly share with you what schedule we are looking at. So we have next few sessions which are going to be coming is Sense Chat. After that, we have Inline. Um, a quick look at the schedule. So we have Diffuse, which is a great tool for developers who are looking to develop on EOS. That is from EOS Canada. We have PixEOS. We have GoodBlock, Europe Chain, EOS Robot, and HK EOS, Emanate, EOS Alliance, and then we have a proxy discussion. We have a panel where we are going to talk about the proxy voting, which is a critical aspect of EOS. So these are the few of the items which we are going to cover while we are waiting for the first session to start. I hope you're enjoying all the content here. Okay, I do see Crystal still not being live, so I think it's still, we have 2 more minutes. Let me wait for that. And by the way, we are also streaming this while a lot of you have joined on Crowdcast. We are also streaming it on YouTube channels, even on Investing with the Difference. So do let us know if you are watching there. If I will try to see if I can see some comments there. But I think if you join the Crowdcast, you will be able to directly enter comments, which will be visible on the screen. All right, so we do have Crystal on screen now. I'm going to bring her on. So I think we are ready to go. It's 11:30 here in Pacific time in US. Hi, Crystal. I'm checking. Let me stop sharing my screen so that we can get Crystal on board. We'll try to add her again. We are waiting for Crystal to join. Hi. Hi, Crystal. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. How are you?
Doing good. How are you? Good to see you after the last conference where we had some great stuff. And now glad to see you here.
Yeah, thank you. Let me know if the speakers are okay. I have Bluetooth headphones, so I could always pull those out.
No, I can hear you all right. So this is great. I think we can get going without waiting further. So why don't you start introducing? And if you want to present some slides, let me know. We can give you the control and you can share the screen as well.
Sure, that sounds good. I do have some slides I'm happy to show. I'm really excited because we have a live demo that I can show of Sense Chat. We have the app working. So, you know, my background is I've been in technology my whole life. I've had several tech companies, and I've been in the blockchain space now, building my first app on Bitcoin in 2014. So I'm really excited to see the evolution of the application software, and we've built tools on Ethereum, and now we have found the most scalable and most decentralized platform, EOS, and this is the one that we love the most.
Oh yeah, I think that's something which we love to hear. Being in EOS community, when actual developers, actual people who are creating products, they talk about why they're moving from Ethereum to EOS. So I think I'm really happy to bring you here and say that why you are doing that. But of course, it's your show now. Get going, and whatever you want to present to the audience, I think they would love to hear more about Sense Chat.
Sure. Let's pull up some slides. I'm happy to present.
All right. So are you able to see how to present, or do you need help with that?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm just going to pull up my deck. And I'm so excited, by the way, about this global conference. I love that the EOS community really is truly global. You know, I think that that's something that I've known. I'm a block producer as well. So I co-founded EOS, and EOS, let's see. I'm just sharing my whole screen right now. EOS helped to launch the network. We've been instrumental in the beginning. Let me move over to this for you. What's a good way for me to see? Actually, I'm going to just share application window. Sorry, guys. 1 second.
Yeah, I think that would be better.
There we go.
All right. Yeah, I think we can see that.
Yeah. So if everyone's familiar with block producers, obviously, I'm sure most of the people here are really intimately involved. Either you're supporting or you're part of one. Yay! If somebody's Daniel's wearing their EOS t-shirt right now. EOS has been a community-driven block producer since the beginning, and our mission is to take the block rewards that we earn and put them into scholarships for women in technology. I joined EOS early. We founded it to basically learn about how to build on the network. We were really excited to figure out what the nodes were going to be like and how the network was going to operate. And so in that process, my company Sense was fortunate to be able to move into the EOS network as well. So we had, if you saw our project at the beginning of this year, we were building on top of Ethereum, and we had built Sense to be a messaging platform where you could share and also earn for your knowledge. We've evolved it in a Sense Chat. So now we have made the first decentralized messenger that is based on the EOS blockchain. So let's see if I can go ahead and play. I'd like to do a, I'd like to be able to still see the video so I can see your chats, but let's see if I can do it this way. Can you see the whole screen?
We're just waiting for it to load, but we were able to see it.
Okay. I'd like to see your chat still. Okay, let me know if that goes full screen.
No, we right now have a blank window. Let me see if I have to wait for a minute.
Okay, I think that doesn't like full screen. I'll just show you guys the version here, and then this way I can keep your chats open as well. All right, cool. So I love that we already know that the blockchain is the new internet, you know, and that's what we're really building. And I think that that's something that I've been really excited about, having built different tools along the way, and seeing the evolution of the internet. For the first time ever, we're getting to a point where we can have security and privacy in the way that it really matters. And that's something that I think that has never really happened before. Inherently, the entire internet was built free. And we think it was built free, but what it was really built for was, the tools that have the infrastructure costs that we're aware of have to be paid by someone. And so over time, monetization had to happen in a way where it doesn't actually benefit the user. So, if you were on the internet 20 years ago, you saw banner ads, and those banner ads were not really targeted. And over time, the data collection meant that things could be targeted. So, now today we're sort of trading, our data, and we're trading for our privacy for the usage of our different tools on the internet. The numbers are pretty amazing. I really love to share this. This was updated as of this midsummer. So, we're over half of the world now on the internet, and even more of them having a mobile phone in their hands.
Hello, Crystal, I think we lost your voice. I don't know if it's just me or everybody else.
Can you still hear me?
Yes, now we can. All right, so I think it froze a bit. You can carry on.
Okay. Let me,
All right, so I think we may have lost Crystal here.
that are on the internet.
Yes, yeah, I think we got you back. So Crystal, yeah, I think we were losing your voice. I don't know if you're still around. So we have lost your video, but we can see your slides. So if you can continue, maybe we can check.
Okay, maybe I'll drop my video so that it's a little easier.
Yes, I think it looks fine now, so you can keep going.
Cool. So anyway, a third of the entire planet is on social media, and we're just looking at Facebook, like not even thinking about, WeChat, which is massive as well. There's billions of people. It's basically everybody who has a device. But the thing that's weird is that there are still only about 50 million cryptocurrency users accounted for, which is less than 1% of the entire global population, of internet users. Like, this is a very small number. And so the opportunity is huge. And the reality is, crypto is just as easy to use as a text message, or it should be if we have the right tools. And I think that's what the EOS platform is allowing us to do. The thing that we're learning too in the overall internet is that humans are fundamentally very valuable. This is the most valuable thing that we have on the internet today is human data, and advertising is a huge industry because of that. So if you're in basically the global ecosystem other than in China, the top apps are Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, and Instagram. The top 4 non-gaming apps. And I didn't even include the 5th one because that's 4 apps that are all owned by Facebook, one entity. And so, that's the definition of centralization. They're really able to use all of your data through these different tools. And in case you are using any of those tools, these are the permissions that you give Facebook Messenger. Just Facebook Messenger. So there's weird ones like receiving and reading your text messages, like on your actual text, or understanding your call list, who you've called, any actions that you have on your phone with or without the app open, you're giving it permission to do these things. And you wonder, what is that data being used for? Why are they using these data? Even if they're not selling it, they're using it internally for purpose of retargeting you for advertising. And so I was doing some research. I found that these permissions that you give to Facebook Messenger that let you give it full access to your phone and your voice and your camera are also on some other really big apps. Like there's an antivirus app that has 100 million downloads, for instance, and it has these exact same permissions that it's asking for. And so if you were to give these permissions to an antivirus app, isn't the whole point for it to just protect your phone? What they're actually doing is they're grabbing all your data and they're reselling it. So they're selling it, you know, anonymized, but to basically to advertisers. So I think, like, you know, one of the biggest industries on the planet we still know is big data. And that's something that the blockchain is going to help us with. There are a lot of great projects that are working on giving you value for your data on the blockchain. This is some of the data that blockchain, that is out there today in big data. And some of the things I think are going to be really radically transformed with blockchain, like identity, health data. All of these things are collected just by, you know, you having these services turned on. So, you know, if you have your phone location data showing for Facebook Messenger, for instance, that's going to collect no matter where you are. And so they know if you've been to the hospital, they know that, you know, you've done different trips around the world. Like, they probably know more about you than your family does. So the idea really is just, how do we go from a world that has everything centralized, that is controlled by one authority or one company, and put it back into the hands of the users, which is decentralized. And that's where, you know, I think this is where the big opportunities are for the network. We have now the potential to put every application across all these nodes globally on the network without central storage, and that protects us. And that makes it so that we can make choices with our data, and we can make choices of how we use different products. So, you know, I think that I like to say we should decentralize it. I don't think decentralization is necessarily the goal for all things, but I think that the idea, like, if we take the word decentralization, we look at it not from an anarchist perspective, but more from a perspective of empowering people and users. This is what we really want to do. And I think that for the first time, the EOS software is letting us really see real world applications. So I'm sure that most of the people here have seen some of these real world applications. This was released by Block One, which was the entire ecosystem, I think about a month ago. And if you look at social network, there's two here, CryptoDM and Sense. Those are both our products. CryptoDM was basically, it's really easy. You just associate your Telegram handle with your account, and then anyone can send crypto to Telegram, and you don't have to share your identity. You just share your EOS account, and then you get a message inside of Telegram. Sense builds on top of that, and Sense Chat is the thing I'm really excited to share with you today. So this is the first time we're kind of showing these screens, and if you have access to the beta, you've already seen this. You can grab access to Sense Chat here. So I'm going to play a video. If it doesn't work, just let me know if the video lags a little bit. But what I want to show you is the account creation and setting up on Sense Chat. So, you know, right now we are the first decentralized messenger built on EOS. We set you up with a free EOS account when you sign up. So you can also import an account if you want to. And this is so that you can obscure your identity. You don't have to share your phone number. You don't have to share your email address. And you can have as many accounts as you want because it's the EOS network. We ask for these permissions so that we can access your camera when you're using your video. Nothing is stored on our side. Right now in the beta, we have we're offering free tokens for beta feedback. So you'll see the Instabug pop up and ask you for some feedback. If you do want to sign up for the beta, it's just sense.chat, and we have a pretty long list of people. But if you contact me directly, I'll just give you earlier access. And it's really a basic, EOS wallet that has Sense tokens and also has EOS, and we can add any token in the future. And we also have what we call smart contacts. And smart contacts are the EOS accounts. You can interact with any account on the EOS network. If they have the Sense Chat app, it'll send them a notification. And if not, it'll just send them a transaction like a normal wallet would. So in the messaging side of it, everything is completely secure and it's stored on your local device. So this is an example of sending a message to someone. If you remember the early days of like AOL and ICQ and all these messengers where the other person had to be online to connect with them, we make sure the other person is online to be able to make that connection. It's truly peer-to-peer. So crypto enabled means that you can send a transaction within the chat and you can send it to any account. If you have this app installed, you will also get notifications from other EOS transactions. So like, let's say you use the Links wallet or you use Scatter or you use something else, you don't have Sense. If I have Sense, I will still get a notification. So I get a push notification that I have something in my wallet, which is kind of cool because it's just a notification layer on top of the EOS network. So we're super happy to get all the tokens involved too. If you have an EOS token or you have a project that you want to, maybe integrate into our wallet, we'd be happy to chat about that. And then finally, these are just cycling through the wallet right now. We also have probably the biggest feature. So this is text. We have text chat, but the biggest thing that we've done that we're really excited about is we put video on the blockchain. So we do a handshake when you have a video connection, and this is true peer-to-peer video calling. There is absolutely no server in between. We don't put a server in between your text chat, in between your video chat. There is no spying. There's no censorship. There's no servers. We don't have any of your data. This is 100% private to you and the other user. So if you have ever wanted to have a private chat, which I'm sure in the crypto world we all do a lot of, this gives you the option to be able to connect and just have that chat and not worry about if it's being encrypted or not encrypted because it's not being stored anywhere. So that's, it's a very basic.
Hi, Crystal. I think we again lost your voice, but it's an amazing app. I think we are really glad to see the demo while we are waiting for you to come back online from your voice perspective. And I think I've seen the comments. It's really, people are very impressed. And I don't think anybody wants to wait and they want their hands on this app. So I'm sure you'll get a lot of requests today to get early access from this summit. And I'm definitely going to send you that request. So I hope I will get it. Hello, Crystal, are you still there?
Tokens. Everybody that's in the beta right now, we're on testnet. We are rolling it out to the App Store and mainnet in a couple of weeks. So in these next few weeks, the feedback that we're getting from the community is really important.
No, that's a lot of fun, it looks like. And I think I would love to try the videos. I think I really got excited about having a secure video chat, which doesn't go through any big company servers.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing that's interesting is, have you ever, when you're doing a large transaction on Ethereum or on Bitcoin, you send a test transaction? So, you send like $1 or you send $10 because you're not sure, is the hash right? This is the cool thing about EOS is we have these human readable accounts. But what else is great is you could just connect. So I can connect to you through a chat, make sure that it's you, voice verify, we could just do audio, video verify, and then send you the transaction. I don't need to send a test transaction. I can just send it to you once I've verified that it's you.
That's really great. I think this is exactly what we envisioned when we talked about EOS having human readable account names and no transaction fee. I think your app is really demonstrating what EOS capabilities are. And I think it's all about getting in hands of enough people to create the network effect. That's my feeling when I look at this. So congratulations on the progress you have made. And I hope that all of us can start using it as soon as possible.
Thank you. Absolutely. I'm really happy to share with everyone. Connect with me on Twitter or you can connect with me, same handle, Crystal Rose on, I'm just going to put it into the chat right here.
Sure.
On Telegram. And, we really appreciate what Telegram has done for the community as well. It's not like we have to compete with the centralized messengers so much as we're giving another option when people want that option. So when I think of Telegram, I think of it like Twitter. It's like public. They do read the chats. You can use it encrypted, which is great. WeChat, same thing. WeChat is censoring chats and unfortunately suspended all the crypto conversations. I don't know if you guys saw that recently, but if you had a public account, you were suspended. So, this is just a new way to do things, and I think that's really it's really important to think about how the EOS network and others are going to allow us to decentralize, every type of application.
No, that's perfect. I think this is great and very exciting, Crystal, and thanks for coming and showing us. And we will just take a few quick questions. We're running a little bit over time, but I think we had some technical difficulties. So if anybody has any question for Crystal, please fire away. But all I see is just people are just amazed at the progress and the availability. Everybody's pretty happy.
Dan's asking, can we build on top of it?
Yeah.
That is the goal. So we want to create an SDK that allows you to put chat inside of your app. And I think that is the next big goal for us, is to work with developers. So if you have a project that you're working on and you're thinking of integrating any chat, get in touch with us, because we'd love to maybe test with you as we're building out the SDK.
Sure. And I think that's great. And I think this is what makes a lot of sense for maybe just what people are doing with other programs. So I think Dan has another follow-up question, whether you have an API already or this is a future roadmap.
Not yet, but it's on the roadmap, and that's something that if we have someone to plug into, we could work even faster.
Sure. And I think, that's a good question from Elim. I think from whether it's on Android, what other platforms you're supporting? Is it only iOS right now?
Right now it's iOS. We're releasing in December. Right after that is Android. We're doing Android simultaneously with web. So you will be able to use it from any mobile or desktop browser as well.
All right, sounds good. And by the way, we are streaming this on YouTube on Investing with the Difference, and I'm seeing a lot of people I already got a comment, how can we get hold of SenseChat? So I think this is going to be the biggest question. I hope we move along with your beta program and more people get access. So thanks a lot for coming in and presenting this amazing app you're building. And we will now look for the next session. Thanks a lot, Crystal, and let us know if you have any final words to say to the people here.
Thanks, guys. Let's keep making sense on EOS.
Sure. Let's make sense. Thank you. And bye for now. So, guys, this was SenseChat. It was some really great stuff which is happening on EOS. And I think what you heard is why it is important that there is no transaction fee, and why you need to have human-readable account names. And while now the next, I'm going to look for EOS Canada representatives. I need to check if Alexander is already on, and then we can get going. So we are running like a few minutes behind, not an issue. I think we can catch up on this as we have seen in previous cases. But I would jump on to the next session, which is about Diffuse. So we go from a great app, which is really solving issues around the privacy of your data, to the great tools, which I think EOS Canada is bringing here with diffuse.io. Hi, Alexander. How are you doing?
Hey, very good. Thank you. How are you?
Going good. And I think we were hoping to chat for quite a long time, and this is the opportunity we got here. So I would love to have you here.
Thank you. I'm super stoked to be here with you guys.
All right. So yeah, I think we have been talking to a lot of dApps. We are talking to a lot of other tools and EOS ecosystem people, and EOS Canada has been, I think you have been churning out a lot of content for developers, not just the great block producing you're doing. And I don't know how to call that. Means we call it mining in the rest of the crypto world, and block producing is like very, very unique. It's very difficult to say, what you guys are doing. So why don't you explain to us this Diffuse initiative? And maybe you can start with an introduction.
So yeah, okay. Well, maybe some people don't know me. Alex, I'm CTO from EOS Canada and also Diffuse. And so I'm really excited here to present a few awesome features that we got great feedback from the community and got the community really excited about. So I thought I'd be sharing that with you guys here. But let me tell you first why we decided to do Diffuse, right? We believe that really powerful adoption of blockchain is going to come through some awesome user experience, right? And we looked around and we found no platform that really helped developers build great user experiences on any blockchain, but especially on EOS, and especially because it's a fast blockchain and expectations for user experiences are high. And so in a nutshell, that's why we decided to build Diffuse, to offer some services that will make awesome user experiences. You know, developers now expect certain experience when they're developing, right? In their development flow, they expect speed, swiftness, and ease of use of the tools they're developing when they're developing normal Web 2.0 applications, right? And we're working really hard to abstract away the blockchain-esque hiccups and microforce and whatever delays in transaction propagation, which you don't find when you're developing like a MySQL database back application, right? You don't have that problem. So we heard loud and clear the clear needs of blockchain developers to want better tooling, and we've built Diffuse just for that, right? To kickstart the ecosystem through great tooling, and it starts with devs, I think. So today I wanted to talk about three things, and I might get down to sometimes some details, technical details. People who know me will understand that I like the pristine details to be like crunchy and correct. But I want to talk about getting blockchain tables, which might seem like obvious, but with the same guarantees developers expect from a normal database, and that's the challenge, and we're trying to tackle that. And then I'm going to talk about ways for app developers to stay in sync with the blockchain. It's a fast-moving blockchain. It changes all the time. There's forks happening. So we want to provide things that keeps you on tab no matter what. We're going to talk about that. And also, I want to give you a quick glimpse at how we can have a holistic view of a transaction, and which we provide through the Diffuse platform. So we're really excited to build these things. We're doing a lot of research and development, going very deep in the blockchain, and it's really cool to put that out and have people like, whoa, want it too. So, did you have any question before I get in, or you want to?
No, I think yeah. Go ahead and do you want to present or share your screen?
Share my screen as need be.
All right.
Do I need to do anything special? I have the button there.
Yeah, you have the button. You can just start presenting, and I will bring it to the focus.
Great. So I'm just going to expose the problems that people might encounter. Is that developers sometimes are used to using MySQL, right? Facebook is backed by MySQL. They do a select statement. They get a clear view of the table. They get all the rows, and they get a consistent view. That's what people expect normally. And most of the time, the database is transactional. There's guarantees. It's ACID transactions and da-da-da. So you get a clear view of the state of your database when you query it. But the blockchain changes each half second, especially ours. It might have not been so bothersome in other blockchains, but a 0.5 second changes. Let's say you're querying a table that has 150,000 rows. And maybe you're doing that query and it takes more than half a second. And you will get the first section, that the reality at block one, at a given block, and the next section, the reality at block n+1, right, at the next block. But it might just happen that a transaction changed something from here to there, and it transferred $1 million, or in the case we're going to show here, the votes have changed from one to the other. You don't get a consistent view of the reality of the blockchain. And that's really cumbersome for a developer, right? Even though it's just a leaderboard in your UI, you don't want to have false data. You can't, it's not tolerable, I'd say. So with the service we're building, and we have already online right now, so you can get an atomic view of the state of the change at any point in time. Not just the last state, but also go back in history and see what was the state of the blockchain at that time. So look, I'm going to demo a little thing, all right? If you guys are excited a little bit like I am.
Sure.
Yeah, we're going to go to the, let's go to the EOS Forum RCPP account. This is an account that holds a smart contract to run global referendums on EOS. Okay, and it has a table in there. And there's a bunch of referendums that are proposed. People like, I don't know who put that in, maybe someone. And in there you have the content and the meaning of the votes and all that, right? We've been working hard on the referendum for EOS, and this is what's in the current table. But it was not always like that, right? Let's take a look at, yeah, so these are proposals. This is the name of the proposal, the name of the proposer, and this is the proposer. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how, with our API, we can query the state of that table back in time. Okay, can you see that here?
Yes, we can.
This is a curl call, so it's very under the radar thing, right? You can query our API, and we're going to go look at the state at block 19,203,683. Okay, and we're going to look at that same table on that account. It's the table proposal, and the scope is this, and we want to list information about the block num that we're getting here. So let me hit enter, and this gives me a view of the table at that time, right? And we also see that this row in particular, was added at block 17 million. And now, no, it's not a big trick here, but I know there's a transaction that's going to add a new row just one up. Okay, so let me give you the snapshot of the state, just the next block. See, at the next block, this transaction was added. So the state changed. And even if that table had 150,000 rows, you would get a consistent view, right? With no risks of things moving under your something. Let me go see that that block number here on EOSQ. And by the way, EOSQ is a block explorer that's fully powered by the Diffuse platform. So most, if not all, the things you see in here are accessible and drillable through Diffuse API. So see, I'm discovering here that there's the propose function call here, and that's the transaction that created it. And then see, we see that it did insert in the table proposal that run of data, and right, that's what we get here. What do you think of that? Isn't that cool?
No, this is really great, and I'm actually getting very excited. I'm going to ask you a question. So
go ahead.
So I think EOS being such a fast chain, I think this is something which I hear at least 10 times a day. I hear these questions. How do I go and check what, like, for example, some account is playing like some dice game or something, and they just roll over. No block explorer is able to show what happened, like what the status was even a day back or 2 days back. There was a case which we were debugging, actually, we were discussing, where we're saying, oh, there is this potential hacker, or a potential exit scam. This guy just ran away and sold his tokens. And then he was playing dice, and he just overshadowed all his transactions with a lot of dice play. Now, does your tool already provide us a capability to go back and say how this account looked like maybe yesterday or day before yesterday, and so on?
All of the contract tables, all of the chain, everything is accessible at any point in time. And actually, we did some really awesome engineering. I'm really proud of the team who crafted solid engineering to create a database to do that, because it didn't exist, right? So, and we're offering that. So I'm really excited to do that.
Sure. No, I think I think the next step would be like where you can give this user interfaces to a layman, not a developer, who can say, oh, I want to look at the status of the blockchain at a certain stage.
Yeah. Someone suggested that on EOSQ, you would have like a small bar, zoop, go back in time. And actually, we could do that. We could just go back in time and give you the, your balances at that time, state. And then you could see that like remove the transaction in the history before that block. So you really get a view of what happened before. So we're focused on developers, because we think developers are going to bring humongous value to the platform, because they're going to build the ecosystem. So
yes,
that's our focus. EOSQ is showing it off. It's very useful. We use that all the time to go and find, figure out what happened. And we have, I think, in there like a most detailed view about deferred transaction, DB operations, which I've shown you just before, RAM operations with the reasons why you cost, scoped to the action level. And it's just a few words, but we did a lot of work to get down to that level of granularity. And it takes a lot more data.
No, I understand. I'm amazed even like it's possible, because at one point I was just debating, like, with so much amount of transaction and actions happening every second on EOS, how do you even go through the data so fast? So do you want to elaborate a little bit on that?
That's the secret sauce.
All right.
Going through massively parallel everything, and we're working on some massively parallel thing to be able to crawl the whole chain and query in a very easy way, index on all sides. We'll be releasing that very soon, I hope. It's really exciting tech also. But what I'm showing you is just everything online today, accessible. And let me show you another thing, all right? Because another problem, let's imagine you're running a game, okay? And you have a leaderboard. So you have a place in your UI. I'm thinking of end user here, right? You have a UI and you have a leaderboard. You have high scores, and if someone does an operation, he gets into the high score. So you would like, as a developer, to show that leaderboard real-time sync, because you have a real-time database, and every user could just see poof, 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 the high score come in. But then there's a lot of issues with that, because you have forks sometimes, right? So you can pull the chain. That's what we're seeing today. You're pulling the chain to see the state. You're not guaranteed a consistent view, and at the same time, there might be some things that you'll see that don't exist anymore because of forking situation, right? A blockchain is an eventually consistent database. If you take it for granted right now, you might have surprises. So what we built, and I'm going to share my screen here because I want to show you that. It's pretty cool. That's why we created the streaming API. And the streaming API is a WebSockets driven. Why do I have that here? Look, okay, I have that here. Proof. So this is an example of the streaming API on GS Fiddle, okay? And there's a few features I'm going to show off. But first, we're getting to the table state for a given table, okay? So that's the EOS.io token that holds all the balances. We're looking for that table on that scope. That is where the balance for that account is stored. What I'm saying is I want to see all the updates of the changes to that balance in particular and stream it to me. We could do exactly the same thing with a leaderboard. I'm showing you this for an example. Okay, let's try that. So, woof, it's gone already. I'm going to stop and show you what happened. So first of all, we got a snapshot of the table here. Consistent snapshot, 100 blocks back. And that is very unique. Most systems will give you the head block. It'll give you the current state. Yes. But right now, because of the other system that I just showed you before, we get a consistent view plus streaming changes. So we can tell you, all right, for that, who is the payer and how the balance changed from block to block. And you see the block name is increasing here, right? Any change that's going to happen, you're going to be synced to that. And you could send that to your users, and your users would get the stream of changing state on the blockchain. Yeah, go ahead.
No, this is amazing, Alex. So I think I'm really excited about. I think I'm getting some echo.
But look, it's not finished. It's not just that, right? I told you there's fetch to get the snapshot, and then listen to get the streaming, and then also you can get the start block back in the past. You could put block 5 in there. It would stream out the whole chain in your face. So just have a big pipe if you want to handle it. And with progress, you can keep tab and then reconnect to that same place. A big problem, a challenge for users, is they get disconnected, right? They get disconnected. It's of no use to have a streaming API if when you get disconnected for just half a second, you're out of sync, right? So it was very important to us, like from the get-go, to have that reliability built in. And so we give you the guarantee that you can always never miss a beat. Even though you get disconnected for 5 minutes, 5 hours, it doesn't matter. But the last bit, I think, is the most important. And we're not seeing that here because we would need to see a forking situation. But the API handles for you all forking situations. So, let me unshare my screen here because I'm going to show you with my hands, like I like to do, right? So sometimes you have a transaction that is in a block, but it can be forked out. Let's say that was the 12th block of a producer somewhere in, I don't know, Antarctica. And the next producer started from the 11th block because it didn't receive that block early enough. But your transaction was in there, block 12. It's now forked off. It doesn't exist anymore. The state changes that you changed, like $1 million transfer, it's not there anymore. The fact that you're now the high score in the game is not there anymore. So you want to learn about that, and our API will stream you undo and redo messages and signaling so that your app always stays in sync with the longest chain and allows you to take decisions if you want to do things when you're having undo or redo situations, just like the blockchain does internally, right? But we allow you to do a remote sync. So your UI is always perfectly in sync, and you can get a signal when you get stronger guarantees. For example, it's 50 blocks deep. If your transaction is 50 blocks deep, maybe you're safe with that. If it passes irreversibility, you want to take an action. Make that little gray thing green now, and change the UI because you have a solid guarantee this will stick. So all of these things make it very, very reliable. I know today, maybe all not developers see those things, but at some point they're going to hit like a transaction that's get reverted, and they won't be able to tolerate that, right? So we're trying to build the APIs and the systems to give you strong guarantees to make it as easy as developing on MySQL.
Okay. Oh, great. No, I think this is amazing, and I think everybody's commenting, and I would love to say, like, you're making us all look very dull, the kind of energy you bring in. So I think it's amazing, Alex. I think let's take some questions while we are here. So
I'll show you one last thing.
Sure.
How long are we?
I think we have some time, so please go ahead.
We have some time. Okay, let me show you one last thing. We want to give people a great view. There's a few things, right, on a blockchain. There's the state, database tables, the content of the database. It's the database in the end, right? And also the transaction, and when they change the state. That's the two aspects of a blockchain in general. That and the consensus algorithm, but let's put that aside here. So a transaction has a life cycle, and in EOS, it has a particularly complex life cycle because it can be deferred, it can be created, it can be put there for later, and it can be canceled midways, or it can be executed or expire or fail. There's a bunch of states in there for a transaction. And what we're seeing today is that a lot of people send a transaction to the network, and then they cross their finger and they say, okay, I hope it gets into the, a block sometime. And then maybe they forgot the expiration time, and it expires before getting into a block. And then what do they do? What do? They poll around, see if here and there will tell you the transaction is in. So what we're providing here is a holistic transaction lifecycle view. That includes all the aspects, and we've covered all the aspects of a transaction lifecycle. So if you submit a transaction that is deferred for 45 hours, we will send you a signal saying it is included, the creation of that transaction is included in the block. And if that block passes irreversibility, it means that creation is irreversible. And then at some point after 45 hours, it gets executed. It can fail there. If it fails there, it will send you a signal saying it failed. But if that failure forks away and it's properly executed in another block, all that flow there makes it that in the end, it might execute it properly. And then, or before there, it could be canceled midways. But you want to know that, right? As a developer, if someone cancels your $1 million transaction, well, you want maybe to remove that balance from his UI, right? Or something, or remove him from the high score. So having a flow of the whole transaction lifecycle is, I think, very essential. And with deferred transaction, I'm going to show you here, look, on EOSQ, because we have a unique view there to show you the flow. I took a random transaction. I don't know what that account is, but it's a reveal operation. It does this and that. And that reveal operation has side effects. It does a transfer. Those two are notifications, but you might notice here, there's 4 or 5 transfers here. But it does this here. That transaction creates a deferred transaction. And if you click on that, so see it's delayed for 1 second. And if you click on that, you actually see this is an executed transaction. It was created by another transaction here, which we can link back. It was delayed for 1 second. And now the execution is now irreversible. And you can go back, poof, that brings you to the previous one. And by doing that, we've discovered a lot of hidden contracts using that feature in very creative ways. I've seen some that use the delay to do sort of heartbeat, poof, each 1 second, sending a new transaction that is deferred, and it's just on-chain and it lives on its own, right? Because it's self-scheduling. And so you can, with EOSQ there and our API, you can navigate tick, 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 backwards and forwards to see what is the whole life of that, thing alongside RAM operations and database operations and all that. So I think it's a really powerful feature. We're super excited to have that and to be able to just give that out to people and have them use that in their apps, right?
No, that's great. So, Alex, I think what I'm seeing here is an amazing tool for developers. The only question I would immediately ask is, what's the best way for them to start using it? Where do they get it? And how do you help them onboarding?
I forgot my stickers on. So it's a diffuse, dfuse.io. And you have the doc section, and we have libraries for Go. We have libraries for JavaScript, TypeScript for those who prefer that. And the API is fully documented there. It's we just revamped that. and you can use it on the command line like I did with curl, and, so you can use it on JS Fiddle. We have samples there, so you can try it and see the data structure and all that. So you very easily just get an API key. We're in beta right now, so we're seeing all the massive traffic come through. So we need to, adapt the infrastructure because we need to have a solid infrastructure behind there. And yeah, it's very easy to get started. The command line, poof, poof, and with an API key, you'll receive it automatically. It's all automatic. And eventually we'll have like portals for you to self-serve all these things, so you can get training logos.
No, I think that's great, and I love the kind of tools which are coming out, and that's what I keep telling, whoever I meet, I say that EOS community, the kind of tools we are bringing, and I think EOS Canada is getting used to giving out these amazing APIs to developers, and I hope developers are making use of it. Hey, hi Mark, welcome to.
How are you?
Good, how are you? And yeah, it was great to meet you. And I think I was telling Alex, this is a long time due. We needed to talk. And I think it was great to hear about Diffuse, and we love to see all these tools. I hope more and more developers get access to it. As I was telling Alex, I think it's more about how do we really get this used to the end user. That's something which we would see, like the difference between EOS is the kind of speed and kind of number of transactions we can do. These are the tools which will make a difference.
Right, and the experience of the user in the end app, right?
Yes.
If it feels like super snappy and they don't even feel it's a blockchain, then we won.
Oh yeah, that's correct. No, I think thanks for coming here on this summit. I think it has been great. While we're talking to dApps, I think we love the energy which EOS Canada brings in, and this is very, very important tool. So I will just wait for a minute. Like if anybody has any question, I think they're just shocked to see all the great stuff. You explained it so well that I don't think people are just dying to try it out, it looks like. So
I just want to add, join us on Telegram, in our Telegram channels. The team is there live helping everybody onboard the platform. Diffuse is available for free for devs, so come and use it, and please share the feedback. Tell us everything that you need, that you want, and we're going to include it. The team is working really, really hard to make that available so that we have the best experience on EOS.
And we're available on the Kylin testnet, the whole shebang, so EOS Q there, and also the Diffuse platform is there, and also we just shipped yesterday on Jungle 2. So you can test your things with the API and then ship to mainnet, and we'll be supporting with that platform like anything meaningful around.
Sure. So we have a question here from Lynn. It says, since delayed transactions are not guaranteed to even be attempted to be executed, does that make a difference to Diffuse API?
So we'll track that. So to deferred transaction, if they get into a block, they're part of consensus. So they will stay in there and try to be executed when they delay, when their delay expires, right? When they're scheduled. Now, it doesn't mean that the execution will be successful. Because maybe at that time, you don't have the balance to transfer your $1 million, right? Because it's not there anymore. It's not left. So at that point, it will fail. It's going to be a hard fail. And with EOS Q there and the API, you can actually extract. It's the only way, really, to extract that information, unless you're producing blocks and you're running a full node in the console. It's the only way to gather the output message from your contract saying, account balance was expired. So if you go to EOS Q with the deferred transaction that failed, you're going to be really happy because there's no other way you can get that error message out.
All right. No, that's a great answer. And I think I love that all these things are available to developers. And now I think we are hitting the time where we should go to the next app. And great. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much for putting that up, and hi to everyone.
Thank you. And keep doing the great work you guys are doing. Bye-bye. All right, guys, so I think we'll keep going with the next guest. So I think we are just on the time right now, and I'm going to look for Fred, who is going to talk about PixEOS. And that is something I think we all would like to hear. Okay, I see Fred here, and I'm going to add him while we are waiting. So I think you have been hearing about these great apps and these great tools. And while Alex, if you're still watching, I would say if you want to post all the links on the chat, I think that is another great way. Most of the people are following up. It would be very useful. And in the meantime, I'm going to wait for Alex to join, and we can start talking about PixEOS. So Fred, if you can hear us, let us know if you are facing issues joining. So I sent you an invite. You need to accept it, and you will be able to join. So I think you have accepted, and we're waiting for you to connect. So let's wait. Maybe there's a delay in operation. So while I think Fred is here on the chat, I think he can hear us. So let's wait for him to join, and we will be on get going with EOS. In the meanwhile, I think you keep reminding everybody that we are going to have a lot more great sessions. And towards the end, we also have a panel discussion on proxy voting, which is a great aspect of EOS. So do stick around and let us know if you have any questions. Do check the schedule on EOS-summit.com. That will give you the schedule and the sessions. There are a lot of last-minute changes, so we are trying to keep it updated. But I think you will get an idea of what to expect. So Fred, I think I would say if you can let us know on the chat if you are able to join. So just to help you, I have sent you an invite. You must have seen that, and you have accepted it. So it's all a matter of time, maybe, or your internet connection speeds, how much time it takes for you to come online. All right, here we have Fred.
Sorry.
Okay.
We had a technical issue because I had the website open all day watching you guys, so it didn't load. I need to refresh the screen.
All right, so let me see. I think I pressed a wrong key on myself and I lost your video. So let me try to fix that. I was trying to get my video back.
Okay.
Yes, so now we have you, and nice meeting you, Fred. So why don't you introduce yourself? Because I think I'm also looking to hear more about what EOS is all about.
Absolutely. So basically, our team have been watching and observing everything that is going on with the gaming in the EOS ecosystem. And we were actually playing the awesome game that Pixel Master launched. And we started to come up with ideas because it was really a pity that it ended the way it ended. So we were like really thinking about creating a sustainable platform to implement not only that game, but other very, very cool features, mainly for digital artists. So we decided to get to that idea, code our own contracts, and create a platform that will not only have games, but to have an ecosystem for all the artists in the EOS ecosystem. So I'm going to show you a PowerPoint.
Sure, please go ahead.
You could share the screen with me.
Yeah, so you can just hover your screen. You have an option to share your screen, and I will focus it as soon as you do that.
Okay, I'm sharing.
So while we are waiting for that, so just to remind me, like I saw, is it the EOS is the same project, which if I'm not forgotten, where you did some airdrop to Pixel owners, or that was a different project?
It's a different project.
All right. So there are a lot of people who are trying to get. So I think it's. So what I'm trying to understand is the Pixel Masters created and started a lot of imaginations in people. So we would definitely love to hear more about your. Okay, I think I got your presentation. So I can see your screen. Can you move to your slides, because I think right now I can see your video. All right, looks good. Now we are good to go.
You can see it?
Yes.
Yeah. So
this is a little bit what I was telling you about. Like we've been not observing only the Pixel Master game, but all the other very successful dApps. We believe that dApps right now for the blockchain is the way or the gate for non-crypto users. So if we get adoption, we can keep with the volume of the dApps. Because today I was watching a dApp radar rating, and from the 10 top dApps, 7 are games. So what we want is to feed our platform and to be able to develop further, but starting with a game, and a very cool game. One thing that we believe, and our team is very strong, is in UX. So I think there is a lot to improve in the user experience in the dApps. We're betting a lot in the skills of our team to deliver an awesome pixel games. We're not limiting the colors. There are many new features that will be good for the previous players of the game, and even for artists, because they can create their canvases and they can store their canvases outside of the main canvas. And one of our goals, coming back, is to create a gallery of artworks, of digital artworks, starting with the ones that they come from the game, and going to get more community adoption, and have a gallery. So I'll just pass the slides and let you know a little bit about our project. The project was born in the community from community members that got to, like, sometimes really annoyed with token economics and token mechanics of Pixel Master. There are many people thinking that our platform is a similar game. It's not. It's a tokenized economy. So I'll move a little bit. So first, the profit sharing platform. We have designed a sustainable tokenized economy. So we have the EOS token. It's a scalable and evolving platform, because we have many plans to make it as professional as possible for the artists as well. So you can think about a DeviantArt in the blockchain, with a non-fungible tokens art gallery, where they can publish and have a digital certificate on the blockchain for their artworks, and have a real evaluation for that. So in our plans, we even have the plans to implement and to have a team to evaluate, to put a price tag on the artwork based in the talent of the artist, the name of the artist, and so on and so forth. This year we are also thinking about having these non-fungible tokens certificate for real artworks. So if you are an artist and you have an artwork and you don't want to have a paper certificate that can lost, where you can get destroyed, you can have your digital blockchain certificate in immutable way forever as a collectible non-fungible token. So these are some of the plans that we have for the platform. We believe that non-fungible tokens is the future of the blockchain, and EOS has a fantastic system for it. So this is a little bit what we've been planning, starting with the Pixel experience. So to show that you can have a Pixel Master, you can have it sustainable, you can have it less longing, and to create other games, other let's say ways for people to interact with the platform, all turned into the arts and the digital arts. So we say that our game is designed for blockchain gamers and artists, and conceived for artists. One good thing that we have, we're very strong in marketing. So like it's been what I've been, it is what I've been doing my whole life, I could say. So we can position ourselves not only as tech people, we can position ourselves very strongly in the marketing and community bonding aspect.
Oops.
For the community and to stay, and we'll do everything in our reach to make our pixel experience very long-lasting, very fun for the EOS community. I'm moving back a bit, and then I will read, because I didn't have much time. I was caught a bit surprised to participate. It's been like I'm really humbled with the opportunity to present our project. This is not even a week old, so when the community is booming, we have a lot of people interested. We are already developing many partnerships. We closed some very nice partnerships, and we would like to thank to Token Pocket for what they've been doing to us. We offered already 30 new EOS account codes for non-EOS users. So in this, let's say, stage of our account giving campaign, we still have 30 accounts to give, and we will continue. So part of the proceeds in our platforms will be to bring new users to the EOS platform. We're thinking also of an airdrop of PTS tokens in the future. But I will a little bit further and explain a little bit what we think. So one of the problems that the Pixel Master had is that the canvas was ending. And what will happen after the canvas ends? And there are so many people invested in the game, so many people unhappy because they actually lost money on it if they didn't have the chance to take part of the 24 hours canvas. So our idea for when the game is over is to immortalize the canvas in the EOS gallery of non-fungible tokens. So this will be the start of our gallery, or it means the start of the main part of our platform. Yes.
No, I think so. I think that makes a lot of sense. So one thing I would like to understand, while I agree with you that Pixel Master was, it created a lot of kind of people said, what after it? And that is one big thing. But that also created a lot of engagement because people were like, coming in and drawing at last minute because of this whole fear of it getting over and they're losing out. So how do you see as what's the best way to create engagement in a more inclusive and more art-focused application?
The first thing that we'll do, you can draw your art out of the canvas.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't need to step in. If you want, you can go to the canvas and draw your stuff and get into the mess, vandalize other people's stuff, and so on and so forth. But you can also, because this was one thing that was bothering me a lot. Like many people, they're investing so much time in the game, and they could not have. They needed to make a print screen of what they draw, and they could not save it anymore. So these are all. You can create your own individual canvases. That when we'll have the non-fungible token system, you can convert it to a collectible. So you can think not only of about the Pixel Masters, you can think also about the crypto kitties of the digital artwork.
No, I understand. So I think this is interesting.
Sustaining token economy.
So you're saying that your roadmap, you do want to do some NFTs and you want to do some kind of creation here right on the platform, which people can take away.
Absolutely.
All right. Absolutely. Now I think this is interesting because I think I was checking even on I think Telegram yesterday or today. Dan was talking about NFT and the solutions. I think that is something which we would love to have on EOS. So what else do you see right now, like in immediate, even though it's a young project? So what is your immediate goals for enabling and for bringing people? And you talked about airdrop. So is it something still in early days, or you think it?
Yeah, we have so many cool stuff in our roadmap. So we'll make many contests because this is an art platform. So we started like it was a community suggestion to make the art cover of our game and platform paper. I wouldn't call it the white paper because it's completely non-technical. So obviously we'll be covering very well the mechanics and explaining how to play the first pack that we'll launch. But we'll have many contests. So we started with the cover. We had real artists working in the cover, the art cover of our paper, and the results. What we could see is so far absolutely incredible. It's really talented. It's not just someone that is drawing some pixels. Like we have some real serious artwork there. And we'll do the same with GIFs. We'll do the same with stickers. We'll do the same with. So we'll be as creative as we can to keep the community always involved and engaged in our groups and media outlets.
Right.
So it's all about communities. Community. As much as the community participates, the more sustainable is your project. Because what we need in the blockchain now is adoption. That's purely what we need. We'll recover from the bear market when people will adopt and understand how to get in, how to start up, and how they can interact with dApps. So in my perspective, like I've been kind of an advisor and ICO analyst for quite a long time. And in my perspective, from now on, what matters is dApps. It's very important that you have important protocols in the ecosystem, and they will really change things medium, long term. But what will change things right now is dApps. So the more creative, the more engaging, the more long-lasting dApps that will develop and launch in the ecosystem, they will help us bring awareness about the EOS platform. They will help people understanding that they're actually investing in something that is the future, that sooner than later will transition from all the economic mess that we live out there to the crypto world. So that's in what we believe. You were also, I believe, asking, I think many people there, you were talking about the bots, that people were running out of the bots. And that was a really nice, let's say, strategy to keep it going. It was implemented in the middle of the game, so it was not planned in advance. And we were like thoroughly going through the mechanics and the economy of the game, and we came out with some very good features to keep it going. So we believe that we fixed most of the problems there. So one thing that we'll have that is really, really cool that we think, we also love DICE. We've seen what DICE has done to the dApps universe and EOS ecosystem lately. So we are also implementing the staking system. It's not the main goal of the game right now, but with each pixel you draw, you get EOS tokens in return. And you can stake them also for dividends. So this is one of the ways of profit sharing that we have in the platform.
Sure.
Then we have the patron bonuses, exactly like the Pixel Master, but we are distributing it every 24 hours. We're not. It's not a reason for people to keep running after it and get angry after that, because if they play every 24 hours, they'll get a share of the bots every 24 hours. It's evenly distributed. We'll have a patron bonus for 24 hours. So we have two kinds of patron bonuses. So one is all time. So if you draw a lot of pixels in the beginning of the canvas, you still get your share. But the bigger allocation of the patron bonus is for the 24-hour flows.
All right.
We can also integrate tokens to the system, and that's about the pixel experience. But then the most interesting thing, because obviously we need to get funded, and it's a platform that will take quite a while to develop and to have it implemented like we want. So the most important for us is to get to the point of the gallery. We're thinking of a digital auction house also for users, where you can put your artwork, your non-fungible tokens for auction, and that will have an interesting token mechanics on it and economy.
All right. So where can we find more information, Fred? Like, can you share the link? I think this question on the chat is, what is the app link? What's the link for your app?
The app is not live yet.
Okay.
So the first step, there's a pixel experience, will be launched in December. Our idea is to give a nice Christmas present to the EOS users, to the EOS community. But we're still working really hard for it, and then we'll build the whole ecosystem from there. So other games will come. We'll create the whole structure of the gallery and everything that's involved.
All right, sounds good. I think.
I'm talking. I'm not reading the presentation. So one of the cool things that we want to implement in the future is like if you're not a digital artist, and I mentioned this before, you can get the certification from the platform. It has non-fungible token certification for your artwork. So you register your artwork in the platform, and you get your blockchain certification for that. If the original artwork is out of your budget, because obviously we expect that the artwork will get evaluated, you will have a lot of let's say hype over this in the artistic and collectors community when this will get adopted. We are also thinking to implement a print-on-demand goods merchandise store, a dApps store for merchandise for the artists. So to support the artists in the ecosystem, they can create their own shop within the dApps store that we are willing to create and sell goods, sell art prints, sell T-shirts, print-on-demand, tennis shoes, whatever you can think of.
All right. No, so sounds good. So Fred, I think thanks a lot for your, I think this great ideas which are coming along in EOS ecosystem. This is why we love it, and all the best for your launch. Do let us know if you have, where we can find more information. Do send, you can update in the chat. I think some people are asking. So how they can be connected with the app and know more about it. It would be great if you can update that, and we wish you all the best for this great Christmas launch, and we look forward to more interesting ideas.
Thank you so much. I don't know if anyone has any questions.
Any other question, guys? So I think the only question I saw was what is the app link, and of course when will the bear market end? I think that is something which nobody knows, but I think overall what we are saying is there are a lot of great stuff happening in EOS gaming world, and I'm sure all these innovative ideas will keep people engaged. And while I think everybody is suffering with this bear market, it's more about looking for long term and building economics, token economics, building projects which will last. And I think that's what is important. So thanks a lot once again.
Thank you so much. I'm sharing our media outlets, social media there. So follow us on Twitter. Our website will be live very soon. But the best place to get information about us and to see how we interact with the community and to follow our the campaigns and our contests and everything is the Telegram group. So it's PixEOS on Telegram.
All right, sounds good. So thanks, Fred.
Everyone should.
And everybody should join this if they are interested. And if they were fans of Pixel Master, join the PixEOS Telegram. And now the next session we are going to bring is Douglas Horn. And thanks again, Fred, for coming here and presenting your ideas. And
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So next is Douglas Horn, and we are going to talk about GoodBlock and their initiative. Right now, I think we are going to take a little bit of break because we need to change the session and prepare for the next chat with Douglas Horn. So bear with us. We will be back shortly while we are waiting for Douglas Horn, as well as changing the session to the next discussion about GoodBlock. And a lot of other interesting stuff is in line. So do stick around. We do have other sister chains like Europe Chain, a discussion with Red. We have a discussion about Proxy. And in addition, we need a lot more like dApps ideas, which we're going to talk about. And in addition, by the way, we're talking about Proxy, as I don't know if everybody knows about me. So I think we have Investing with a Difference channel, which is a YouTube channel where we share a lot of EOS ecosystem news. And we also run a Proxy, which is Investing WAD. And if you are interested in knowing more about it, you can see us on the Aloha Proxy channel or Proxy listings. And we are our goal is to make sure that all of you get information about EOS, what's happening, and be able to make sense out of it. So that is about me for people, because I see that we have a lot of people here watching the summit from various regions, and not everybody may be aware of the background. So I just wanted to make sure that I give you my introduction, and I will just take a little bit of break and be back soon with the next session. Thank you, and stick around for more great content. All right, we are getting back on. We do see Douglas here, so I'll wait for him to join us. So while we're waiting, so I hope everybody's enjoying it. Let's wait for Douglas to set up his screen, his video and audio. We do have him online, and let's talk about Good Block. In the meantime, as I said, we have a lot of good content expected soon, so you do wait for us, and we will be able to share with you a lot more interesting information happening in EOS World. Hey, Douglas, can you hear us? And if you are ready, let us know. I think we are still not set up here, so let's wait for Douglas to join us. While we are waiting, so again, we would like to thank our sponsor, which is MyWish. We did have them on screen for during when we were away and during the break. So MyWish has sponsored this conference. We have been live for almost, I think, 20 hours or so. That's the plan. And we are going along from the time zone, US time zone overnight. We had multiple regions. We had a lot of dApps which presented, and a lot of people have been participating all over the world. And we are now in the final leg of this journey. So we are now going to be covering some of these projects in which we are talking about here. That is, as I said, we have Good Block right after this, right immediately now with Douglas Horn. And then we are going to be talking to Europe Chain, which is another sister chain, I think, which is happening in Europe. And Rhett will be with us. And after that, we do have some Myra from EOS Alliance. We have some Eminate and some other interesting dApps. In addition, we have finally going to close in with a panel discussion about proxy voting. And that is, as you all know, is a very critical aspect of the EOS ecosystem. So that's something which is in store for us in next 2 to 3 hours. Hopefully, you will stick around and enjoy that. And in the meantime, we are now going to be starting with the Good Block, and we are just waiting for them to get ready. And once again, thanks MyWish for sponsoring this event. All right, so we do have Douglas here. So hi, Douglas, how are you doing? We can see you on the video now.
I'm doing very good. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now, but I think your video is frozen a little bit.
Thank you so much. Sorry about the delay. I practiced.
So Douglas, I think we would wait for your internet to be a little more stable. So your voice is breaking a little bit and your video is pretty choppy. Yeah, I think we can hear you. So it's just that a little bit choppy right now because your voice and your video.
Let's see. Okay. I'm that.
Yeah, so I think we can see your screen now. That's a good thing. We have made some progress on that side, but we still have a little bit of choppiness on the sound. And I think people are really wondering what's in your ceiling, because I think your camera may be on the right below you. So it looks like you're looking up.
In that case, I won't use full motion to share my screen.
Yeah, so I think we do have a bad internet connection issue here for you. So you may want to check if you have a better connection, or if you're using a Wi-Fi, if you can have a better signal somewhere. That would really help. We do see your screen, but your voice is very choppy right now. Hello, Douglas, are you still around? So while I think we are waiting for that,
I'm trying.
So let me see if we want to switch the sessions around, if that helps. I think it's going to be difficult right now to be able to talk with Douglas at this with the current connection. So Douglas, do you want to spend a few minutes to check your internet connection, and we can maybe swap the session around?
Not sure.
All right, so I think in the interest of time, what I would do is, Douglas, I think we will wait. We'll try it out if we can swap the session. Sorry for that. I think we are not able to hear you at all. And I'm going to invite Rhett and see if that works out. And in the meantime, if that works, we will swap your session and hope that you will have a better connection next time around in next 20 minutes or so. All right, guys, so we are waiting for Rhett to join. I just sent him an invite. So he has accepted. So that's we should have him online pretty soon. So sorry for that. I think technical troubles. We are trying to coordinate with a lot of people all across the world. Hi, Rhett. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
All right. So no, I think good to see you. Good to see you. And it was great to have you here in San Francisco. And it was some great time. And now we are back as a global EOS community on internet. That's what we do all the time. So good to have you here.
Yeah. Thank you for having us, for having me.
Sure. So let's, without wasting any more time, I would give you all the attention. Do let us know what you're going to talk about today. And you are also able to present your screen whenever you want.
Thank you, Roman. Yeah, I wanted to talk about Europe Chain. That's one of the initiatives that we we're working on together with all the European block producers. If you look at Europe, then we have something that is called GDPR and General Data Protection Regulations. And in the GDPR, there are some laws and requirements that are very against blockchain. For example, one of the rules is the right to be forgotten. The aim of that rule is that when you're a client for the classic centralized organizations, that if you don't want to be a client anymore, you have the right to be forgotten. So they have to erase all the data that they have from you. So they can't keep you on their computers. One second. So that is there's a lot of academic research on that blockchain and GDPR are conflicting, and so this is a reality we have to deal with every day, and so we're trying to not think of problems but think of solutions, and that's why we came up with the Europe Chain. When we got more into EOS and the network was launched and Telos and Warbly came about, then I think everybody realized that the future is in having multiple side chains, all with their specific characteristics. And the Europe chain was just one of those thoughts. We're calling it Europe chains, plural, because I think we can also apply services to people that want to have a test net, or companies that want to have their own network. And so there's a lot of ideas that we were spinning around with right now. We have been approaching almost every European block producer in Europe. Almost everybody is enthusiastic. About everybody said yes on conditions. And now we're talking with them on those conditions. Okay, what does it look like? Do you want to spend some money in it? Do you want to co-found it? How do you want to work with us? Currently, we're making this more detailed plan with Dublin, Dutch EOS, and Crypto-Alliance. And we have EOS Germany said, oh, we have some other thoughts. We'll make a plan as well. So basically, there's two groups now writing some thoughts on paper. Let me share some of the slides that I've prepared a bit. Let me see. Station window. Let me do this one. I can make it a little bit more small. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to
still see the chat, because otherwise I can't see the chat.
I can help you with the chat if there's any questions. If you want to go full screen, that should be all right.
Okay. Then let me get more full screen for you guys. Okay. So this is a slide deck that I used for one of my clients today. I was adjusting it while Douglas was not coming on. I co-founded a company called Kahuna Managing Security 20 years ago. That is a security outsourcing firm. And the reason why I bumped into EOS 7 months ago, 8 months ago, was because a lot of my clients are on senior level talking about risk. And these are 28 of the top risks that they envision, and everything that has a fee mark is IT related. So I blanked out here everything that's not IT related. And then you see that a majority of their concerns and issues are about IT. And the reason why they have all kinds of concerns is because a lot of the data is mutable. So blockchain can really help them. Like I said, I'm in the cybersecurity space, and cybersecurity threats have been bigger and bigger in the last couple of years. So my responsibility in that company was to look at solutions. And blockchain was one of those areas where we could provide solutions. We know what to do, and we know how to solve cybersecurity problems, but the integrity part in the triangle of availability and confidentiality is always the tricky one. It's difficult to organize and structure an IT environment that is 100% integral. And yeah, that's why I had the interest in blockchain. That's why I co-founded EOS Amsterdam and really got into the EOS space. And so one big hub, like I said, this presentation I used for one of my clients. That's a client that is doing outsourcing services with us. So this was an introduction mainly meant for them. and a little bit for you guys to understand why I'm in this space and how I look at it. I have a lot of enterprise clients between 1,500 and 20,000 employees, and they need a blockchain as a service. It's the same philosophy as Dan Larimer had in the beginning when he was building Steemit, and I believe in one of the interviews he said that he realized that an average software developer was never able to build a blockchain application because it's just very complicated. Cryptography is very complicated. 20 years ago, I gave courses on cryptography, and I lost the majority of my students after an hour or so, because that's a very complex space for a lot of us. So blockchain as a service, like EOS is, GDPR compliant, including layers and tools. With that, we mean that the block producers will need to be in Europe, the data needs to be in Europe, and that we add, you can't be GDPR compliant as a chain. You need, it's a combination of dApps and facilities. But the blockchain, if you look at not as a problem but as a solution, can provide a lot of interesting things. The third bullet is very critical. There's a lot of companies that have difficulty in purchasing EOS. They just want a blockchain as a service, get a monthly invoice, and they want a company to help them out with staking and capacity management on how much RAM do I need, how much CPU, how much bandwidth do I need exact, and how do I scale my dApp when it's a success. They want it very basic, very simple. They want to have partners that help them. And like I said, we want to have a public and private chains. So what some thoughts on this GDPR? I think I already said it, but there's no thing like a GDPR compliant internet or GD compliant artificial intelligence algorithm, and there's no GDPR compliant blockchain technology. It always has to do with the use case that you're trying to automate and the real application that you're trying to build. GDPR is a balanced legal framework, so it's always a balance between the interest of the company that wants to do something and the rights of the individual. Like if you sell, so if you have a web shop, you want to keep the address of your clients, maybe for a lifetime, or you want to keep it for 3 months. And in the GDPR, it says that you need to do a privacy impact assessment and state why you do what you do and how you do it. Basically, that is, and you have to be realistic. You have to do data minimization, so don't collect too much. So I think Facebook's and the Googles have a big problem because they collect a lot. We'll see how that progresses. There are currently already some lawsuits started. Same model, a token, IBC connected to the main chain as soon as it's available. We're still debating on the token model. We're still debating on the distribution model. Will probably look like a lot like what Orbly did. Let me here's the why. 21 legal block producers in Europe. Maybe we'll start with a lower number than that, depending on how quickly you get some serious revenue. And very important, a strong partner model for software developers, or as we call them, commercial partners. So classic reseller model that you have with a lot of equipment, software, data centers, classic IT one level tier model that we want to implement. Like I said, almost every block producer in Europe is interested. There's even some block producers outside of Europe interested in participating, and they want to set up an entity in Europe. Companies like EOS Pacific and EOS Tribe reached out to us very seriously that they want to participate in this. I found this interesting. So the Europe chain will have competition of Hyperledger and competition on the private chains that we want to spin up for clients. We'll have competition on that side. So looking at some options that enterprises have, maybe you saw the announcement of Amazon. It's completely against my views on how you should set up a decentralized, trusted public chain. But there are clients that and companies that, of course, want Amazon to run their blockchain. I think there's no value in that, but that also shows us that there's still a lot of explaining to do. And yeah, that's what we're into, solving some problems for enterprises. I have a lot of other slides, but I think it's too much for now. There's a lot of things that are still very unclear on how we will do it exactly. Mm-hmm. But that is a good start, I think, of what we want to build.
Sure, right. So I think this is great. I think a lot of people on the chat, I can see that they are acknowledging that I think GDPR is a new thing for most of the people outside Europe. Not many people understand it that well. So I think that's good that there is a region-specific efforts which are going on, because you cannot bring a lot of use cases. And you talked about verbally, and I think that is already been seen on how it is really solving a totally different kind of issues. And so can you also give us some examples? Like, for example, today, as a block producer in Europe, what kind of use cases immediately you see which like a Europe chain would be able to solve, which are not possible on EOS in the mainnet?
Well, for example, today I was at a company that has a lot of chemical and difficult to store materials and equipment and stuff like that. So the fire and other entities require a very strict registration on who's on the premise and who's not. There's it's a whole area. It's a big around the big harbor, and so there's a lot of people coming in and coming out that need to be registered, and there's a lot of entities that want to have that information, who is in that area and for what. So we have. That's one of the use cases that could really fit on the Europe chain. It really requires European privacy laws to be implemented correctly, and so that is a good example of they wanted to invoice it, to have it invoiced in euros. They want all the data to be stored in Europe, and they wanted to do it like that.
Mm-hmm. I think that makes sense. So what you're saying is there are a lot of actual business cases where a developer who is developing an app in US will not have any idea on how to take it to Europe markets. And this has to be a totally different paradigm where the data is not mixed. You do need a separate chain because you cannot have it running on the same mainnet where the data is coming from other countries where you have no privacy, and it's impossible to separate those two out. Is that a good explanation?
Yeah, it all has to do with trust. I mean, we as experts, of course, realize that as long as the chain runs, and as long as the people, the block producers do what they need to do, and don't collude too much, then the 15 out of 21 still works.
Yeah.
and whether the block producers are in Europe or in China shouldn't really make a difference. But in the eyes of a lot of the end users, the clients, the enterprises, it still provides them the extra value that the data is in Europe. And sometimes it's very simple, our requirements. I have one client in the nuclear space. They cannot do anything outside the 5 founding countries.
Mm-hmm.
Legally restricted like that. So there's all kinds of concerns that we can implement more easily if we have the ecosystem around us in Europe. So and another interesting use case, for example, is the use case that we in GDPR we have a lot of rules around consent. The requirement that when you send somebody information or communicate with somebody, he has to give approval that you are doing that with him or registering the data and store his history or whatever. Consent, recording and registering consent is a perfect use case for a blockchain.
No.
It's very clear that it needs to be registered at that date and that time. What are you recording? How are you recording it? So the consent, which is basically the basis of GDPR, is a great use case for almost every enterprise that is storing thousands of records of clients.
All right. No, it makes sense. So I think that's great, Red. So people who are watching, if you have any other questions, do let us know. It was a great discussion around why we need a chain, like a blockchain or a sister chain, you can call it, which needs to solve regional problems. And this is like a Europe-based, and not just problems, it's about the regulations, it's about making it acceptable. It's making it really possible to have a blockchain-based project there without getting into legal issues. And this is a very important thing. And I think it's not just legal. I think it's about the cultural thing as well. People do care for the privacy. And that is how the law has come about in Europe, as I believe. So I think that's a great perspective. Thanks for being here. Any other questions, please fire along. I think we will wait for a minute for anybody to ask questions about Europe chain before I think we could bring Douglas on, because I was just trying to test him. So have him online. So that we can check whether he's ready before we jump on. All right, so no other questions, or Rhett, any final comments before you go?
No, I wish Douglas all the best with his presentation.
All right, thank you. Thanks a lot for being here and sharing your Europe chain ideas, and we wish you all the best. And look forward to some amazing stuff happening on EOS.io.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
you.
For having me.
All right, so we are back. I think it was a great discussion about Europe chains, and now we have Douglas, and we can clearly see him this time. So that's great.
Yes, I'm sorry, and I apologize, Red, for coming in your last at the end of your discussion. I was very interested in it, and I think we're just trying to head off some of the problems that I was having. Sorry about that.
No issues. All right, so we are here. So let me.
Thank you for having me. Thanks. I apologize. The problem I was having was one with the with my my special camera I was using, and so I apologize. It wasn't working with Crowdcast, but I think we're good to go now. So.
All right, Douglas, I think welcome here, and your screen is all yours. I have posted, you've already shared your screen, so I have projected it. So now you can go ahead and present what you are going to talk about from Good Block perspective.
Great, thank you very much, Ramon. I appreciate that. Hi, my name is Douglas Torn. I'm the founder of a company called Good Block. If you've heard of us at all, it's probably in relation to the Telos blockchain, which will be launching soon, where we are a large contributor to that group. So I'm excited to be talking to everybody about some of the other things, though, outside of Telos that we're actually working on. Good Block is a dApp developer, or From now on, if I can, I actually think that calling them a dApp is one of the many little way of normal everyday use part in blockchain, and I'm trying to eliminate those myself. So so we develop apps, and one of the first ones, so I want to share two that we are working on, come out with very quickly, actually. So the first one is called DAC Lab. So what is DAC Lab? Well, DAC Lab, I think we're all pretty in this. If you're watching this, you probably know what a DAC is. It's a decentralized autonomous community or corporation or cooperative. It could be a lot of things, right? It's a new form of pulling people together and organizing them in a way that is more borderless, more peer-to-peer. There's really need for DACs. In fact, it's an entirely new type of entity. Does not yet have legal standing most places because it's very powerful. It allows any group of people who work to form a non-hierarchical structure that sends global boundaries and really it's the type of business entity or that I think a lot of people have been looking for. And the problem is that while it's great, most DACs right now pretty much have to make their own tools as they go along, and the tools have not been, and now we have to take a lot of strengths of the EOS software combined with a lot of what we have been creating in and give everybody a tool chest that allows them to quickly spin up their own DACs, very powerful, customizable tools. So think about this. So what is the DAC? What is the DAC, or what is DAC Lab for? There's a lot of types of things. Any kind of trade organization. I was for quite a while an independent film director, among other things. And a film is actually a perfect any kind of artistic type organization that's going to come together, where people come together for short periods of time to do something that may have revenue for a long time in the future. DAC is perfect. There are also that have and that is hard to transfer. There's marketing associations. There's virtual companies. Probably most DACs will really be virtual company. There's a number of reasons why, a number of use cases for DACs. So what does DAC Lab bring to this space? We are going to be providing tools that you can use right out of the box with almost just hit the button and go, or that you can fine tune to the level that you need. These include transparent voting. In fact, many kinds of voting. You can vote on elections. You can vote when you vote an issue. You can decide very simply if you are looking for a standard, or if you need certain types of and a 60%, you can release it. So your governance is going to match whatever the tools are going to match whatever you want. There's no tool actually, no tool chest has any of these right now. We're really stretching the limits of what is out there for DACs to build themselves and manage themselves, grow themselves. For tracking, we will have all these very they can be voted by. We can issue licenses, so people will know if you are actually if people who claim to be working war, what you can raise money for capital expenditures. The options here. Little user stories here. Somebody's asking me to speak up, so I will try. So think about some user stories. one that we like is really interesting is like a tribe that may own large amounts of land and has to fairly so that deals don't make it back to the real stakeholders. These revenue deals can be transparent. The tourism groups that pay for concessions can be easily tracked based on the blockchains or values to they can better rate they can do that's with group of actual ownership stakeholders to raise money for capital projects. Basically, for a situation like this, it would allow the tribe to unlock value in its land and other that could be throughout the stakeholders there in a way that never really has happened before. Another idea of who might want to use this is a fishery where there are a number of ships, boats, and captains that are out fishing. And in this situation, sometimes somebody is in the fish, right, and somebody is not. And the ones that make money from this situation and the ones that are deep sometimes overcatching them and have to stop fishing or throw them back. What if you could use dApps to quickly for catch allotments, so that everyone better catching them can get from instantly selling their catch allotments, right? A group like this could support their own trade and marketing efforts. They could raise capital or collect capital to purchase processing centers so that they actually capture added to their and not planes they can sit. Another company filmed that marketing knowledge workers in various countries together and track their work units, and also purchase equipment or spend on marketing that they would not be able to that they can track and to expand their possibilities there. What's the secret weapon? Basically, because we large group of people called the Telos, and that was basically we found it a little bit ironic that in building a blockchain that could record everything, we were holding voice votes and working hours and a really great track. We realized there are in the future going to be a lot of term ad hoc, sometimes high value projects that are going to be spun up and then are going to have to disappear. But last it's been a DApp. We're building the emotional body, and we've had to vote into that. In building these, we discovered all these tools that we were having to build for Telos that were essentially the Legos that we could put together to build dApps, and we wanted to share that with other people. So there are other places, there are other things in this space. For example, there's a project called Aragon, Ethereum-based. A lot of excitement about that. We think that EOSio is a far better place to launch this for many reasons. I'm sure we're all aware of. We're moving very, very quickly on this, actually, because we actually first just a few people, if we could build for them. Most of the cases within to share this with everybody. The way the revenue will, you want to create a DAC, it's free. There are premium services that are available, or you can upgrade to them. DAC Lab itself, it becomes a member of your DAC, so there's a small share minted. They receive this for every time work units are recorded. A very small fraction is recorded for DAC Lab itself, and work at saving, and then expenditures. There's a bit of a savings that goes very affordable. Any kind of new token, just those tokens, but you will create your own tokens, either both economic tokens and voting or identity tokens, and that have very. So we feel that this is the future of organization to allow cross-border. So that you are with your needs. Thank you very much. I have another game I would like to discuss, but if there's anyone who wants to talk about, if there's anyone who questions for this, I will have those questions too.
Sure, Douglas. I think that is very interesting. Unfortunately, we do have some sound issues again. It's a kind of breaking.
Any questions?
Can you hear us, Douglas? Are you able to hear us? Okay, so I think we have some issues on the sound again, but I think overall it was great. I think it was very good presentation where we looked at some of the interesting ideas which Good Block is presenting. So Douglas, I think I'm checking.
Yeah, I can hear. It sounds like you may be having.
All right, so it looks like there is some delays as well. So Douglas, I think I will wait for your question. So anybody has any questions for Douglas, let us know. We will see if we can get them answered. I think we are able to get the sound through. I think I see a question on the question panel. Let me open that. Are you working with EOS DAC in partnership with DAC Lab?
Is the sound so bad? I would like all.
So Douglas, did you capture the question? So it's about the EOS DAC and DAC Lab. How is there any relation or any partnerships you see, or this is totally independent?
We're not. No, this I think you are also going to have some good solutions. I'm excited to see what they come up with. For one,
all right, guys. So I think we do have some challenges here.
Right now,
so Douglas, we are losing your voice. I would.
We're working in with DAC Lab. I'm sorry, with EOS DAC.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, no, I think we got your answer. So I think there is so we have been getting a break in your sound. So yeah, I think anybody you can ask the questions on the chat. I think that's going to be more efficient. And so Douglas, we want to. I think you talked about a game or something you wanted to present.
See, I don't know quite what we.
Yeah, another question was, will Telos DAC be one of the DACs launching using DAC Lab?
Yes, if I can. Let me see any way.
So we can see your screen if you want to present.
I know we have been talking with Brian. If they're not in.
All right, guys, I think we have kind of lost the sound. Unfortunately, it was pretty interesting discussion, I think, from Douglas, and we wanted to hear more about it. I would recommend that we can use the chat, because Douglas is being very good with answering the questions, and hopefully you will get all your questions answered, and that would help you understand further about DAC Labs. For the game, I'm not sure, Douglas, if you are going to be able to present it, because this is right now, unfortunately, we are not able to listen to you because your sound is almost not coming to us, and right now we are not seeing your video as well. So let me see what's our I will wait for a minute or so if we can recover from here.
Right. I just want
All right, so while we cannot hear you, so I think we do see Draco's chain. So maybe we can spend a couple of minutes on that.
I'm assuming you're not.
All right, so thanks, Douglas. I think we will have to cut it because unfortunately we are not able to hear anything.
I don't know what is causing my screen not to share, unfortunately.
All right, so yeah, we will just leave it for the screen because we see this interesting game you are posting. We can see the screen. We will just leave it for a minute for people to read. Unfortunately, we can't hear you. And we will maybe look for moving to the next session in the meantime. Please do share your links. Please share your ideas on the chat so that people can learn more about these. And I'm sure people will be able to ask questions in the chat itself. Unfortunately, the full sentences are not going through, so it will be very difficult for us to continue the session from here. And I will look for bringing the next guest in, which is EOS Robo from, and it's Dan Watts. So let me see if I can invite him. While in the meantime, you can use the screen to share your game, and hopefully people will have a lot of questions from you when you share all these ideas. And we can take them in the chat. All right, guys. So I think we are moving on. It was a very interesting discussion from Douglas Horn and some great stuff they are doing in Good Labs. In the meantime, I'm seeing some great screenshots on this interesting game. Hopefully, we will be able to hear more about it in another forum and from Douglas somewhere else. And we would recommend Douglas to share links where we can read more about them. While we're waiting for Dan Watts, we are going to talk about EOS Robo and go from there. Hi, Dan. How are you doing?
Hello. Thanks for having me here today.
Welcome to the EOS Summit. I think we have been going through a lot of apps, a lot of great EOS ecosystem partners. And right now, I think, to be frank, means I'm pretty new to what you guys are doing. So go ahead and maybe you can introduce yourself. And whenever you want, you can share your screen. You should have the capability to do that.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I've been watching some of the other sessions, and the bar's been set pretty high by some of the guys. So
All right.
Let me just try and share my screen. Hopefully this works. Can you see that okay?
It's still loading. I will let you know once it is up, and we are good to go now.
Good to go. Okay. Yeah, so welcome to EOS Robots, everybody. I'll just give the quick overview and the elevator pitch. So EOS Robots allows users to remotely control real-world robotics through the EOS IO blockchains. So users are going to be able to buy time on the machines and securely send real-time commands to these robotics using cryptographically secure and zero-knowledge proof communication channels. I'll just give you a little bit about me. So I've worked in the software industry for 11 years now and worked my way up through various roles in terms of development roles, business analyst, project management. Then I founded a company, which I'll talk about in a second, called Peak Drones Limited, a drone company based in the UK. And I've gone on to do product management roles and innovation roles after that. So I've been interested in blockchain. I've got a passion for this community. community and the decentralized governance aspects. And it's such a fast-paced industry. The drone company that I previously started specializes in aerial cinematography, inspections, surveys, precision agriculture, thermal imaging. We're licensed and working in the UK with the Civil Aviation Authority, but I'm actually currently based in Melbourne down in Australia. The robotics industry is surging at the moment. So every year it's breaking records year on year, surging over 32% in the last year. And this sector spans multiple industries, from the consumer-grade electronics, self-driving cars, manufacturing, commercial drones and UAVs. There's really a lot happening in this space. And one of the other sectors that's obviously growing a lot is the blockchain sector. And what I thought I'd do is start trying to bring some of the benefits into this industry. And I did this by starting off with a very simple proof of concept, which was to take a very simple robotic arm and hook it up to the EOS blockchain. Now, what that looked like in practice was, in the very first version of the proof of concept, that users could log on to the website, eosrobots.com, chain together a lot of commands, so move the arm left, right, up, down, open and close the claw, and then send a series of commands to the robot through the blockchain, which the robot would then pick up and then execute, with a live feed kind of streaming back to the user, so that the user can log on and pick up some little objects, move the arm around and have a go at controlling it. And the one thing that I'll say is, I'm not a big project with a lot of funding behind me or anything. I put this all together myself, and the response from the community has been great. And just, if anyone's out there sitting on the sidelines at the moment, thinking, I've got this great idea, but I don't have funding, I don't know where to go with it, I'd really encourage people to just pull together a really simple proof of concept. It doesn't have to be all on-chain. You can just put specific elements of it on-chain and have some parts off-chain, and get that proof of concept out there. So let the world know about it, and people will get excited about it. You'll be getting yourself out there in the community and really starting to, build some relationships and networks within that, which is exactly what's been happening to me. So since I've put this proof of concept out, I've had various people reach out, been on calls with people from different organisations and block producers. The guys at EOSphere has been really good in terms of helping me out and putting me in contact with some of the other guys out there. So then I took the initial proof of concept a little bit further. The limitation with the initial proof of concept was that it was very difficult to control the robot by programming a series of commands, so that it had to execute them one after another. What I really needed to implement to be able to scale this was a real-time control mechanism. So the current state of the proof of concept is that you can log on and send a transaction, which essentially allows you to buy some time on the robot. And along with that, you send a hash of a secret, which you can sign using an arbitrary signature. You can then use that signature and the EOS.js elliptic curve cryptography to communicate with that robot, and the client's got a secret that no one else in the world knows about because they've signed, and it allows them to communicate directly with the robot very securely. So that's the current state of the proof of concept, and it's working pretty well at the minute. The one challenge that I've got is my bandwidth. So if you do go on and try it out, which I'd encourage you to do, you may notice some delays and the frame rate might not be particularly good depending on whereabouts you are in the world. But I'd encourage you just to go and check it out. There's a fee on there of 0.005 EOS. So, in the current market rate, that's about 1 cent to have a go on it and have a play around. And it just kind of demonstrates how this technology can work and how the on-chain versus off-chain elements can work. And you can still communicate securely with these robotics. So I thought I'd give everyone a bit of an insight into what's coming next. So what I'm currently working on building out is the EOS Robots Rover Challenge. So I'm going to be taking the technology that I've built for controlling the rover arm and implementing it onto a small rover with infrared camera on it, so it can be operated 24/7, all all around the clock. And the aim of the robot is going to be to go around and scan some QR codes that are going to be hidden around. And if you manage to complete the challenge, it will issue you with some coins or a pot if you manage to complete it. I'm still working on the exact mechanics of how the tokens are going to work there, but the thought is that everyone who tries to have a go about it and fails, their funds will go into a pot, and then when someone completes the challenge, they will get issued with the pot. Just how that's going to look, it's going to be a challenge which is set up against the clock. So the rover is going to be able to be controlled. The people are going to be able to drive around it, find the different QR codes that are in the location, scan those QR codes, and once the user manages to scan them in the correct sequence and within the time limit, then they'll be issued with the reward. So I thought I'd add a bit of gamification in this and see if we can develop it into a bit of a challenge and have a real incentive there for users to be able to, take part in the project. I'm going to be looking at various elements, so it could be opportunities for, sponsored pots on there. So if someone wants to sponsor a pot, please reach out and let me know. We can have a bit of a chat around that. The more people I can draw to this platform and just spread the word around it, it's going to be pretty exciting. But this is early days, and this is proof of concept in stuff at the minute. So where can this go in the future, and what are some of the use cases? So there's 5 kind of main use cases that I'm just going to do a little bit of talking about some of these one at a time. So the entertainment sector, that's my first priority where I'm trying to focus, and this is relatively simple compared to some of the other sectors and challenges that I'm going to be looking at. It's relatively low cost to actually implement some of these challenges, and it will allow to attract an initial user base, attract users to the platform, and also has the potential to expand quite virally as well. So as you can see from my next stage of the proof of concept, that I'm starting to focus on this entertainment aspect and to develop a challenge in there. But I'd like to get to a situation where there can be several robots online at once, and people can control them, can interact with each other, can undertake various challenges, and even get to a position where people can use it with their own robots at home as well. In terms of commercial use and manufacturing, so there's a number of ways that this could be used. So there's a lot of robotics in manufacturing is really kind of taken off at the minute, and you can see the assembly line on the cars there, and that's not the initial area that I'm going to focus. But what we'll be able to do is there are a lot smaller manufacturers who are creating these robotics arms. The icon here at the bottom is a project that's currently on Kickstarter, which is a much more affordable robot arm. And what we could allow people to do is actually to be able to demonstrate some of their robotics to people out there, kind of a try before you buy, without just giving free rein to people. You can put a price on actually trying it, so that you get rid of all of those tire kickers who are just want to have a play around with it. The next use case for it is time sharing of robots in manufacturing lines. So if you're a relatively small business in the manufacturing space, it could cost you $100,000 to buy a robot. Whereas you and I could both have a need to use some robotics and may only want to pay for the time that we use on that robot. So that potentially opens up a whole new world of business model for the manufacturers in terms of pay-per-use on robotics. Rather than selling a $100,000 robot, it brings it into that much smaller and more accessible kind of subscription economy, where users can pay as you go or pay for what you need, reserve time on the robots, that kind of thing. So I think there's a real kind of use case around that. In terms of the secure instructions, so providing secure instructions to autonomous UAVs and driverless cars. So those industries are growing exponentially over the next 10 years. And the security that's going to be required, not just by regulators, but also mandated by customers and the general public, is that people are going to want the commands that are sent to these vehicles to be auditable, to be secure, and to be immutable as well, i.e. they can't be hacked. Obviously, with the sign-in of the cryptographic keys, it makes the communications at the center of robotics very secure. And this I think, is an area where we've really got some potential to start building out technology. This wasn't possible many years ago with things of the like of the Ethereum chain, but with the half-second block times that EOS.io offers you, I think that's something that can actually be implemented now and start to be worked on for these kind of technology sets. I'm just going to talk about swarm behavior now. So I'll give the credit to a guy called Eduardo Castello-Ferreira, who pulled together this white paper in 2016 for an academic course. And the work that he's done here is really good in talking about how blockchains could be used for robotic swarms. And the one kind of limitation that he cited back in 2016 as well was that blockchains just aren't fast enough to be able to deal with the decision-making times that these would need. But I believe that the EOS.io software addresses this, and that with the half-second block times, it's something that we can now actually look to implement. So there's an example here where a drone has to identify an object or a shape. And you can see it's the classic image there, which is it a cup or is it two faces looking at each other? So what could actually happen is that all the different members of the swarm could actually vote on their interpretation of that, post their interpretation to it on chain, and then the initial drone that initiated it could then look at the sum of all of those and take a reasonable guess at is it a cup or a face or two faces, based on the consensus from the other members of the swarm. So that's a really kind of interesting concept, which I think we can explore in the future as well, and something that's quite close to my heart in terms of working on the drone side of things as well. So where I'd like to get to on this as well is to get a development kit out and a public protocol, so that we can actually allow manufacturers and hobbyists to expose their robots on the network and make use of these secure communication channels. I think education and academic outreach programs are really important to engage those up-and-coming students. So robotics are becoming part of a lot of the courses and the syllabus in a lot of universities and kind of higher education now as well. So if we can start getting this kind of technology out to those people who are, the up-and-coming people of the future, I think they're really going to kind of embrace this technology and get on board with it. Consumer goods as well is another area that potentially could be used in. So consumer-grade robots are expanding, and they are going to become more commonplace, not just in the workplace, but also at home as well. So, Amazon, for example, already have their huge warehouses where robotics are moving around, picking up orders, moving things around. And people are going to want to ensure that those have good levels of security and privacy. And putting all of that on the blockchain and making it immutable and auditable is a great way of being able to kind of control that and prove how these robots are interacting with each other. And we can also expand that to other IoT devices and consumer goods as well that are sitting there with unused resources and potentially could use the network to actually lease out some of those unused resources and take their own kind of payments in that as well. Would also be great to get mobile app integration into it as well, because one of the things that the general public are going to struggle with in adoption is the whole concept of accounts and private keys, and it's a real barrier to entry. When I talk to someone who's not into this stuff, like my wife, for example, she hasn't got a clue what I'm talking about when I start talking about these things. So abstracting that layer of the blockchain to the end user, I think, is a really important part of this, and keeping it as seamless as possible so that the user can just interact with it in a method that they think's that's familiar to them, i.e. on a mobile app. So I'm currently working on this, but if anyone's out there and really wants to kind of get involved and join the team, whether you're a developer, a robotics engineer, marketer, UX or graphic designer, please reach out to me on the Telegram channel. Happy to kick off the conversation there, and if anyone kind of wants to get involved, please reach out. I'd like to say a special thanks to Eosphere, who've been really helpful in terms of addressing some of the questions that I've had around scaling and around the nodes, and also to Tim Osborne, who's Crypto Tim on YouTube, who covered the project when I first launched it as well. So big shout out to those guys. And I'd just now like to take any kind of questions, and if anyone wants to ask me anything, I'll be happy to kind of take a question.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Dan. It was amazing. I think while you were talking, I actually sent a transaction and I tried to control the robo. So it was interesting. I could see things move.
Yeah.
So let me quickly open the questions tab. So there is a question which says, how do we connect and find out more? Is there a community working on this? I think this is for the last, sorry for this. I think this was for the previous session. So immutable robots, is that legal? What securities do you take against things going out of control?
So is it legal? I don't think there's anything illegal about it. You know, the robots aren't full AI. They're still being controlled by a series of commands. And, you know, anyone can currently kind of build a robot and publish it on the internet for anyone to do anything with. But what I'm trying to do here is limit the availability or the possibility of that robot being hacked or that robot being sent commands which it isn't supposed to interpret or action. So actually, you know, that security and the communication channel is really what I'm trying to build here and trying to improve on.
I think that's great. So yeah, I think it's more about where do you, like, I have one question, like, where do you see, like, why do we need blockchain for robotics and for automation? Like, do you think that this will get decentralized? Like, for example, you talked about Amazon, you talked about some of these use cases, which are actually a corporate driven things. Why would you apply blockchain to that use case?
Yeah, and I think yes, it can be centralized. I think there are elements of this where, you know, in the future it may be an option to actually license some of the technology to these bigger corporations and let them run it on their own EOS.io chain. So yes, the chain itself could be privatized, but the chain offers, you know, a lot of those benefits in terms of immutability and auditing, whether it's a public chain or a private chain. I don't think that particularly matters. I think it's the purpose here is being able to control and you know, use those immutably and zero knowledge proof commands on robots. But for example, some of the use cases where you know, we're talking about time sharing or robotics and things like that, then I think potentially the blockchain is a very easy way to actually implement that securely without having to spend millions of dollars on R&D actually building a platform that's going to handle it. You know, I've managed to do a very simple version of it in, you know, a number of months.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, as I said, I just tried that and I was able to use that robot to move it. So that was interesting. But I think, yeah, I mean, maybe in the robotics, which where people are trying to use something, definitely it's a compute power. Robo compute power is going to be the future, maybe not just a physical moving robots. I think it can be applied to some other sort of compute power. So thanks a lot. I think it was a great project. And the gamification part is we are going to wait for it. Maybe we'll have a EOS enthusiast competing in a race for winning. I think those are some great ideas. And look forward to it. And thanks for joining us and sharing this cool project. Is there any other final words? Because I don't see any more questions here. If anybody has any questions, this is their last chance before we move on to the next session.
Yeah. If anyone wants to reach out, just jump in the Telegram, go to eosrobots.com and get a hold of us there. So thanks very much.
Thank you. And I already joined Telegram also in the parallel. So I do want to hear more about it. So all of you, please join the Telegram and let us see how this EOS robots looks like. All right. Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
All right. Cheers. Bye.
All right. So we had a really interesting project there. And I think, okay, so I think I'm getting I don't know if I'm still online. I just got a message that I should restart my computer. I hope Crowdcast is still working. If you guys can hear me, let me try to invite Emily. She's our next guest from HK EOS. And I hope it is still working. All right, so I think it seems I just got an error message, but my screen is working and I can invite Emily. So we are all set for the next session. After the cool project about EOS and robots, I think a lot of you should get ready and start sending your transactions. I did try it while the session was ongoing. I got really intrigued.
Hi, Roman.
Hi, Emily. How are you doing?
I am great. Thanks for having me and hosting here.
No, thanks a lot for coming in. I think it's a great thing which was happening, and I think it started in a pretty late night in our time in US. So I thought I would definitely like to jump on when the daytime. So
yeah, I know.
Glad
but,
to.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here, and I'm really happy to present a little about the HK EOS incubator. So I have a PowerPoint here. I'll have to switch to.
Sure, please go ahead, share. I can help you with that. Whenever it's up, I will put it up on the screen.
Okay. Share. I can't find the share button. The share screen button.
It's right on. If you just scroll over your picture, you will see it. All right, I think we are getting it now.
Okay, can you see my deck?
Yeah, you can move to your deck. We can see your picture right now.
So you,
we are seeing the Crowdcast tab.
You get the deck. Yeah?
No, I think we still don't see the deck. Maybe it's going to another screen. It's we can see your Crowdcast window.
Can you see it now?
No, I think you need to move your, are you using multiple screens? Because right now we are seeing your screen, which is showing your Crowdcast window. So your sharing is working, but you have the wrong window.
Oh, okay, I see. I think that's, sorry about that. Yeah, can you see it
now? Not yet.
Oh no.
We are only seeing your browser window. So if it is a presentation, maybe you can go out of the full screen and bring it on top of the browser window.
The browser window.
Yeah, we are seeing your browser window where the Crowdcast is going on.
Okay. So so I need to have to drag this out of the.
No, so is it another application or what are you presenting with?
It's just PowerPoint.
Okay, so can you get out of the full a presentation mode, and can you overlap your PowerPoint window on top of the browser?
Okay. Still not see it.
No, unfortunately, no. I think Douglas has a suggestion that you can switch the screen or PowerPoint. So I don't know what if that makes sense.
Yeah, try that one more time. Sorry about that.
Yeah, are you able to switch the screen? Basically, what we are seeing is we are seeing a different screen. So PowerPoint, if you are using multiple screens, you set up, the presentation goes to a different screen.
Okay.
Yeah, now we can see it. We are there, yeah. So this is good.
Okay.
So you can just maybe, yeah, this is good.
Okay, this is good. So you can see my deck now, right?
Yes, we can see it now. So let's get going. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. A little hiccup here. So for those of you who may not know us, and I'm just going to give you a little background about HK EOS. So we are a tech-focused block producer originating from Hong Kong. Pre-mainnet launch, we started the secure Ghostbusters testnet and launched scripts and helped pioneer a redundant infrastructure model for launch. Since then, we have contributed to the community by creating the fastest EOS Block Explorer, which is blocks.io, and I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with that, in conjunction with EOS Cafe, building the worker proposal contract and platform, and writing the EOS test case for EOS contracts. So we've also been running one of the first dApp incubators and have incubated strong teams, including Uncloak and L2. So that's a little background about HK EOS for some of you who may not recognize us. But what I'm actually going to talk about today is our incubator. So our incubator develops tools and provides funding support to accelerate dApp business growth and mainstream user adoption in the EOS blockchain ecosystem. We are a team with deep EOS development, technical dApp funding strategies, and tokenomics expertise. We leverage the existing EOS platform infrastructure tools across our dApp portfolio and provide technical and product advisory. We leverage our partner network of thought leaders, including trusted figures and VCs who are committed to EOS ecosystem to provide funding support and mentorship throughout the duration of dApp development. Additionally, our expertise also spans across legal advice and scaling support as your team or platform expands and grows. So under the traditional startup incubator model, startups usually spend a year or two developing their product while the incubator provides tutoring, financial, and administrative support. There are two problems in estimating returns of the existing incubators. It's either too much information kept private, or the time needed to exit the investment can be very long. So our incubator model accelerates business growth and reduces the time frame to 3 to 6 months. We differentiate ourselves by investing in talents located in geographic regions and communities neglected by venture capitals, building global partnerships, creating a channel for dApps regardless of socio-geo factors, and offering a long-term funding and mentorship roadmap for the right dApps. Our objectives are really to create a platform for dApp development and funding that supports rapid business growth, grows community happiness, and high returns for dApp token holders. Our goals are to empower global participation in early stage funding of blockchain entrepreneurs, inspire entrepreneurship and development on EOS, facilitate rapid development by reducing development time frame and cost for dApp teams launching on EOS, support key EOS development open source projects and other EOS community initiatives, and provide support, mentorship, technical advisory tools, and access to capital development, community mentors, and VCs. Some of the dApp themes we would really like to look at include commerce, which is decentralized payment services and marketplaces, mobile, financial services for the unbanked, entrepreneur empowerment, tools that accelerate entrepreneurs and small business growth, security, tools that protect users and business from cyber threats, and make blockchain participation more accessible and safer for non-technical mainstream consumers, and social service innovation tools or creative solutions that improve people's lives and the world. So some of the incubated dApps that we have worked with in the past, including Uncloak and L2 Exchange. So Uncloak is the first EOS dApp incubated by HK EOS, which is the world's first blockchain-powered cyber threat solution. They've also done an amazing job on their presentation in session 1. In case you missed it, you should go back and watch their presentation. And Level 2 Exchange is the first exchange simultaneously supporting a CEX and HEX. So these are just some of the trusted figures who also act as our advisors in our global network. And these are just the partners in our global network as well. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is the dApp Incubation Association, in short, DIA. So the number of dApps are growing rapidly every day, as we know, and it's increasingly apparent that attracting sufficient funding and implementing the robust marketing strategies really remain significant hurdles for dApps. So in order to support and build a better dApp ecosystem in partnership with two other prominent EOS block producers, like EOS's and EOS Canon, we came together to collaborate and create a dApp incubation program called DIA. With DIA, teams can apply easily and get support from trusted figures of EOS community through DIA's global network. And I have another presentation for that. Can everyone still see my PowerPoint?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Okay, I'll just keep it like that. So what we do at DIA is we provide community support, investment support, and technical advisory. For community support specifically, we share our community to inform token holders of China, Korea, and America to know about projects we support. Strong community support is really a powerful leverage for dApp teams who normally may not have enough internal resources to cover different communities in various regions. In terms of investment support, we are in good relationships with various venture capitals from all over the world in the space. We really want to act as a link to big VCs in different regions. For teams who need seed investments, it's hard to go directly to big VCs without a proper introduction. So starting with that need, we will organize introductions and events for supported dApp teams to connect with VCs and investors in our global network. And we plan to do seed investments after an evaluation period. In terms of technical advisory, we will provide consulting services, including tokenomics and technical advisory. With various partnerships, we can give needed help depending on which aspect of the support a project needs the most. So who we are, I'm sure a lot of you are very familiar with EOS Canon and EOS's. EOS Canon is based in China. They focus on ecologically incubating dApp investments, developer training, and cooperation with international companies. They also have their own VC fund company founded by EOS Canon that they invest in underlying blockchain technology, EOS-based general purpose tools, games, financial, and application platforms. For EOS's, they are also backed by Chain Partners, which is also one of the largest blockchain companies in Korea. They play a crucial role in the international blockchain community, creating projects to in blockchain technology, consumer products, exchanges, payments, media, and education. So when it comes to evaluation criteria, we only have two simple criteria to examine when it comes to evaluating the right dApps to work with. One is the originality of concept. Given the extensive similarity of dApp ideas across the ecosystem, we highly value originality of idea itself to promote creativity. Second is originality of technology. Technological competence is a core part of building a sustainable dApp, and we highly value dApp teams that are technologically competent who need help with business supports and needs. future steps. So we have just launched our website, and next month in December, we're going to have our first round of partnership announcing the dApps that we're going to work with. In Q1 of 2019, we're going to organize meetups and networking events for supported dApp teams to get the investment and funding support they need from our investor network. And in Q2 of 2019, we're going to do another round of partnership after our evaluation period. So if you're interested and want to apply to our incubation program, just simply go to this website, www.officialdia.com, and just shoot us an application. And we really look forward to seeing great projects coming in.
All right. No, thanks a lot, Emily. This was great. And we are excited to see more and more incubators coming in with the kind of team you have put together. So I don't see any other questions, or please ask any questions if you have for Emily. I myself have one question. So we are actually doing a similar activity. A lot of Silicon Valley developers are there looking for blockchain opportunities, and EOS is not that popular here because of the Ethereum investment in the region in San Francisco area. So we are also putting up an incubator here, and we would love to see how we can partner with you. And I would definitely reach out to you, because we are trying to build a global EOS community where we can use resources worldwide and build some amazing ideas. So that's our goal.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for having me here.
No, thanks a lot. It was great. And we look forward to having some more great apps coming out from your incubator and changing the way we use web applications. And especially all of us are EOS enthusiasts. So we are looking forward to that. So I see one question here. Where are these regions neglected by VCs? So I didn't really understand the question. Can you elaborate a little bit more?
I guess when I said these regions neglected by VCs, what I really meant was, really regions that may not be in some of the major cities like San Francisco, Crypto Valley, Switzerland, where most of the VCs are located. I know, given that we are actually in a global markets, and EOS is very international and globalized now. But what I mean by that is really just sometimes projects that may be overlooked by VCs.
No, I agree. And I think, to be frank, this is exactly what we see here. We are maybe as people see San Francisco as Silicon Valley, but there's a big difference between San Francisco and Silicon Valley itself, even though we are 1 hour away. And I don't see any big stuff happening right here around San Jose area. And this is, I think I hear you when you say that, that they're very focused. Crypto market and the blockchain projects are very focused. They are a very small group of VCs. People have very difficult situation where they're not able to access these and pitch their project. So I think EOS is a community which I see, which is spread everywhere. We see from small cities, people are working on it. And I think that's a great point you bring in. And thanks for your presentation.
If anybody wants to reach out to us, feel free to join any of our Telegram channels, HK EOS, EOS's, or EOS Canon. If you join HK EOS Telegram channel, you will be able to find me. And if you need any information, feel free to reach out to me as well regarding DIA or just HK EOS Incubator.
Sure. So this is HK EOS Telegram, Emily, or do you have any special Telegram channels for these projects? Maybe you can.
We haven't made a Telegram channel for DIA yet, but I will send out a link to the chat later for the HK EOS Telegram channel. So just feel free to stop by and say hello.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for joining. Bye-bye. Thank you. So it was a great session again. So guys, we have to change the session again. So we will take a 2 minutes break and be back with the next session, which is imminent. And just hold on and wait for us to restart this next session. All right, so we are back. I hope that we are getting everybody into this session as we go along. I will look for Sean. Let me see if I can find Sean from Emanate. And here we have him. Okay, so we are just getting set up for the next session. This is Emanate. I think we have heard a lot about the app. Let's wait for Sean if he and hear more about directly from him in terms of what's going on and how this new applications in EOS World are changing the way we operate. So I just have Sean accepting it, and here we go. Hi, Sean. How are you doing?
Hear me all right?
Yes, I can hear you, and welcome to the EOS Summit. And maybe you can go ahead and introduce yourself for people who don't know, but I'm sure a lot of people have heard about Emanate already.
Sure thing, yeah. So I'm Sean Gardner. I'm one of the co-founders of Emanate. We're a project that's been building for over a year now, but sort of really ramped up at the start of this year and really ramped up when EOS Mainnet launched. And yeah, I just want to start by saying thanks to everyone for like a great year, and it's been one of the most exciting years of our lives, and the community's been really supportive. So for those of you that have helped us closely, thanks very much, and for those that have just kind of been out in the community as well, thank you. We really appreciate it. And yeah, there's lots of exciting things happening. So what I've prepared for this session is just an update. I guess I'll give a little bit of a background of the project, but I think like a lot of people in the community kind of know what Emanate is about, and it's pretty easy to understand as well. So shall I just jump into that?
Yeah, please go ahead. You can share your screen. Let me know if when you do that, and I will immediately put it on the screen.
Yeah, cool. Whereabouts is the share thing?
Yeah, if you just click on your picture, you will see multiple icons, and there is a share after HD. Share screen. All right, I think it's coming up.
All right.
Yes, we can see it now. You can start.
Cool. So yeah, we recently had to think about our message to market and updated our key kind of tagline to explain what Emanate is all about. And in order to sort of not get too caught up in blockchain terminology and kind of EOS related stuff, we've really landed on just calling Emanate technology for the future of music. And that is because there's just so many applications of how the technology can be used. It's so much more than just a streaming platform. There's so many different ways we think this can improve the future of music. So that's how we talk about Emanate now, technology for the future of music. And as I say, this is just a project update to the community. So for those who don't know all about Emanate, essentially it's one place for artists to share their work. Somewhere that other people can come and collaborate, somewhere where it can be consumed into third-party applications, via an API and an SDK, so that in an unlimited number of different use cases, audio can be consumed, and you can be paid pretty much in real time each time it's used. So yeah, it's a technology platform that's going to allow artists to collaborate with more people, to work better with their business partners, to monetize more than just major music releases. And the kind of key components, I guess, are the smart collaborations. So that means anybody, anywhere in the world can work together with the risk there being some kind of rip-off or disagreement greatly reduced through code, through recording and contracts. There's a decentralized governance layer, and there's obviously like the borderless macro transactions, which is one of the big benefits of crypto, full stop. That makes a big difference in the music industry when you're trying to get really small payments to the right people in the right places. It's pretty crazy. Most professional musicians at the moment actually still get checks in the mail for their music that's been played somewhere in the world, and they might get a check for $8.40, and they have no idea what it's for, and it's like a year after the music was consumed. So we're addressing that. And yeah, then I guess there's the API integration with technology, which is really important as well. So at the moment, we're working through our roadmap. The demo that we've got ready at the moment, I'll give you a quick look at it in a second, and we'll be pushing it up onto our website soon. Contains the smart collaborations and a demo of the streaming platform. In Q1 next year, we're launching the Alpha Network, which will enable artists to upload their own work, get paid, collaborate, work together, and then we move towards the beta platform towards the end of next year, early 2020, which will include APIs for different developers to integrate with us, and more roles for others in the industry, more roles for music labels, for publishers, and other players in the industry. So I'll just quickly jump across into the demo. Some of you may have seen this. We showed it in London at Blockchain Live, and I've showed it at a couple of other demos as well. Can you still see the screen, or do I need to click share again?
No, we can see the screen.
Yeah, cool. So the demo at the moment has got two parts, collaboration functionality and listening functionality. If you're in Collaborate, you basically give a collaboration a name, upload some files. So it's kind of like a WeTransfer specifically for artists, but with a Ricardian contract built in. So you choose your collaborators, and moving on to the next step, choose an agreement. So we've built this console down the bottom, which tells people what's happening in the on the blockchain. So you can see here it gave me a little error when I tried to use more than a 12-character name for the collaboration. It's told me that the files are uploaded to IPFS, and now I can put in a Ricardian contract saying I want 50% of all final releases. So I might be sending some beats or my vocals. I send them off, and we both receive email confirmations. You can accept or reject the collaboration request, and then finally you can upload the finished work here. So you can see my collaboration request has just come through. So those files get uploaded to IPFS, and then eventually they'll land on a streaming player like this. And for the purpose of the demo, we've built the streaming player, but really what this is a piece of audio that sits in IPFS that can be accessed by anybody who has an Emanate account, and whenever it's consumed, payments flow back in real time. So I'll show you how that works. So this track, Gold Rush, here is produced by Jimmy Frew, one of our co-founders, and it's remixed by this guy called Birds. So we can see them here on the blockchain exactly what's going on. And over on the right-hand side, you can see the payments going through, and we're showing the total payments up in the top right. And then down the bottom, it says payments have been split for 5 seconds of playtime between Colors of Jupiter and Birds. So if I skip forward through that track, that artist is still getting paid for the music that's consumed, but they obviously haven't been paid for the part that I've skipped. And then as soon as I jump across into another track, those payments stop flowing through, and we jump across to the next artist, which will start getting paid. So at the moment, we're just implementing streaming, so it's a little bit slow because the whole track has to download. But once that streaming's sorted, we'll also move payments onto the server because the payment counter's in the browser at the moment, and then we'll be ready to show this to the public for scrutiny. So that's essentially the demo at the moment. Jumping back across. So in terms of other things that's happened, our EMT token is live on the mainnet now. We've started airdropping it out. and we've started getting it out to our early private investors. There'll be more airdrops. There's bounties to be earned. So go and check out the EMT token. Welcoming Viv from EOS, who's also in a very successful music group called Blondish. So we approached Viv a little while ago to come and be an ambassador for Emanate. We met up with her when she was in Sydney a couple of weeks ago, and we're really excited to have Viv on board from a lot of different perspectives in terms of blockchain and music, and also the work that she does with sustainability. News around our tech team. So we recently hired Ignatius over on the left there, who was one of the mentors at the San Fran Hackathon, if you were lucky enough to be there. Ross over on the right, most of you know Ross. He's one of our acting CTOs at the moment, along with Anthony Smith, who's been an advisor of Emanate since the beginning. We're currently in the process of looking for a new full-time CTO. So these guys are managing things in the meantime. As well as our EOS technical advisors, Nathan from Generios, Michael from EOS DAC, and Igor from Brazil. These guys have been great just reviewing our code. Special shout out to Nathan for helping us out with the token contracts. And we're now starting to look at our DAC plan for managing decentralized governance. And EOS DAC have got some fantastic tools out there for that. So big thanks to those guys. So what else is going on? We're almost across the line with some VC investment and acceleration. I'm not going to say who it's with just yet because we haven't signed the paperwork, but it's looking good. We're super excited for that to kick off next year. We've got more airdrops going out to the community. So working with Airdrops DAC, we're currently looking at getting an airdrop out to all EOS accounts, which will need to be claimed using Nathan's claimable token contract. So keep an eye out for that one. Follow us on socials if you want to hear about it. There's bounties to be earned for content production and general community support, particularly helping us build community in different countries. Excuse me. Particularly we need help building community. Community in different countries and different languages and things like that. We've got a crowd sale open at the moment, which you'll see if you come to the website. We managed to open our crowd sale in probably the worst couple of weeks of crypto history, which has been interesting, but there's still money coming in, so that's going well. And we're moving towards our alpha release in Q1 of next year. Just to quickly jump through that, artists will be able to sign up to earn money for their music. Excuse me, sorry, it might be the Christmas tree making me sneeze. And yeah, so artists' profile pages will go up where they can upload all of their own music, connect with other artists, collaborate with others. We're working through simplifying this. This is the legacy music industry payment system that you see here. We're working on a way to simplify it into a basically like a block sort of system where music moves through 4 different layers and people get paid along the way. So you can sort of see. Initially, we look after the people that created the original content, like the artists, engineer, songwriter. Then we look after their label or their publisher. Then we look after anyone who's done a remix or a cover or a DJ mix. And then finally, what we refer to as what we call the referrer. They also get paid. So whether they're a blogger who's embedded the player, whether they're it's radio play, whether it's a referral link or a playlist, they also can get a clip. Those plays can come through direct plays, licensing deals, or API integrations. And then we're working on launching our DAC client, which will have a wallet voting mechanism for features and things that are happening. Obviously, a block explorer, community section, a way to track your internal MNX tokens for EMT tokens, and your language and currency settings. So across social media, we're always Emanate official. You can hit me up on Telegram at Sean G Emanate. And yeah, that's us. That's the Emanate update for 2018.
Oh, that's great, Sean. I think that was a lot of great content you showed us, like especially the demo. I was really impressed with the live. If you can reduce your volume, that would be great. I'm hearing some echo.
Yeah.
So I was saying the demo was amazing, especially the live payments, and that is like really interesting to see. So one question I immediately have is it like similar to what are we right now? Who decides these payments when like a Spotify or somebody is tracking the played minutes or played seconds? Is it like you think it's similar, or what kind of trusted entities are doing it, and are people happy with at least accounting of these seconds and minutes?
Yeah, I mean, I think with other players like Spotify, most artists are not happy with what they're getting paid, but at the same time, Spotify is not actually a profitable business. So you have to kind of look at that and go, right, well, it's not Spotify's fault. If they paid artists more money, they'd just be even more in the red, and they'd have to do another multi-billion-dollar IPO in a few years' time. So what's broken is the actual system behind the music industry, and we think that a decentralized network with decentralized governance and a lot more automation would essentially like grease the wheels, and would allow there to be a lot less leakage from within the industry. So Spotify would have a massive number of people dealing with labels, dealing with accounting, getting payments out to artists, all of these sorts of things that cost a lot of money. And if those agreements are in the blockchain, they're made in Ricardian contracts, they're executed in code, a lot of that overhead is removed, and that money can flow to the artists, the songwriters, the people that are running the labels. And it's really that simple. So we do believe we'll be able to get more money to artists, but it's not because other kind of entities are doing it wrong. It's just kind of the current state of play. So
sure, makes sense.
I think the technologies can be used in. I think Spotify and SoundCloud will end up using blockchain technology for payments and everything like that. So really, like the question over whether artists want to go on Emanate or they want to go on SoundCloud or Spotify is whether they want to, as a token holder, whether they want to have some say over the governance and want to be able to be a part of how that community evolves, or whether they just want to be at the mercy of a centralized figure. And earlier in the year, we saw things on Spotify like the Drake takeover. It didn't matter where you went on Spotify, all you saw was Drake. Which is awesome if you love Drake, but it was basically bought out on every playlist. It was all over the front page, and that's because there's a centralized figure controlling what you listen to. So
no, that's perfect. Yeah. And another question coming on the on Crowdcast is that which kind of streaming, IPFS streaming, are you using?
Yeah, so right now the smart collaborations are going onto IPFS. But we're actually using centralized storage at the moment for the streaming player. And I mean, for us, we intend to move everything to IPFS. We intend for Emanate to be as decentralized as possible, but we're not going to sacrifice user experience for that. It's a goal and it's a long-term process. But at the end of the day, if you come to Emanate and it takes 7 seconds between when you press play and the music starts, people aren't going to hang around. So at the moment, we're working really hard on the streaming aspect. We do think we can move it to IPFS. And we need to just work out a few things between what happens in the browser and what happens in the server to make sure that nobody can spoof it, because it's a huge step between just paying people in the background for once a week or every few weeks to actually paying people in real time as music's consumed. So security is one of the most important things.
All right. Thanks a lot, Sean, for coming and like updating us. It's a lot of progress you have made, and it is a great project. I think everybody's excited about it. So thank you, and have a nice holiday. I think we already see the Christmas tree behind you. So enjoy.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks so much for a great year, and continue to support the projects that are building. And come and chat to us anytime on Telegram or shoot us an email, and we're open for any types of conversations.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. All right, guys. So we had an amazing chat with Sean. I think he's this Emanate is a great project. I think we are seeing a lot of progress, and I was really impressed with the way it the demo, where you can see that the blockchain is able to distribute the profits or the whatever you need to give to each participant in the whole chain. It's distributing live, and that's what blockchain capabilities are, where you are not relying on a trusted entity. So I'm waiting for the next session. I think we have EOS Alliance, Myra. I don't see her on the participant list yet. So in the meantime, I will wait for that, and we will maybe take a 1-minute break while we are trying to get Myra online. All right, guys. So while we are waiting, again, thanks to MyWish for sponsoring the event. And we are going to be changing the schedule a little bit based on the latest update for the availabilities of the people on our schedule.